Hello everybody and welcome to the penultimate round of the 2004 Formula 1 season. Hopefully I didn't unplug my microphone. Yeah, I didn't. Okay, good. Welcome to the 2004 Japanese Grand Prix here at the Suzuka International Racing Course. I'm joined today by mainstay co-commentator at this point, Nils Hartl.
Hello everybody.
We are here for... This is the...
16th?
I was going to say 18th edition of this track,
yeah.
As it debuted in 1987 as the host of the Japanese Grand Prix and has been ever since. Going into this round, Michael Schumacher and Kimi Raikkonen are level on points, 75 points apiece, although their seasons could not be more different. Michael Schumacher with a lot more mechanical issues than his teammate Kimi Raikkonen. Schumacher, of course, with 7 wins to his name this season. Meanwhile, Kimi Raikkonen is yet to win a Grand Prix in 2004. Don't discount Fernando Alonso, though. He's just 5 points behind the pair of silver arrows, so it really could go any way in that championship fight. Juan Pablo Montoya, if he scores a couple more points, could get ahead of Giorgio Pansino before the end of the season, as the two Ferraris each level on 46 points. They're probably just hoping to hit triple digits in the Constructors' Championship before the season's over. As further down, we've got Riccardo Sperrafico in the top 10. Pedro de la Rosa on 15 points now for the season. He's closing in on Ralph Furman for 11th place. As we've had 28 drivers score points as the first... I didn't actually make it, but... No, I did make it. I just didn't put it into the OBS. Well done me. Forgot to do so. So Justin Wilson as well. 28 drivers have scored points because Justin Wilson scored points last time out in China in the Constructors' Championship. I think if it's McLaren who outscore Renault by 1 point, then they confirm themselves as the Constructors' Champion of 2004. Of course, with one arm tied behind their back with Jean-Christophe Bouillon instead of Giorgio Pansino in the car. It's probably likely to happen today unless something goes wrong with one or maybe both of the McLarens. Ferrari a bit in a no man's land in third, same with Williams in fourth, followed by Toyota, BAR and Dams. Opel have had a brilliant run of form lately and are just sitting 7 points away from Dams for 7th position. If we copy the results from the last 2 races, so that being Italy and China, you'd actually end up with Opel ahead of Dams before the end of the season. So it's very much possible, although unlikely, for them to reach Dams before the end of the season, as we have had 13 teams out of the 15 on the grid score points this season, all apart from, of course, Boutsen and Minardi. Now, Nils, do you see Kimi Raikkonen getting his first victory of the season, or do you think it's going to be Michael Schumacher taking victory, or do you think Fernando Alonso is going to get even closer to these two?
I mean, just before we started the stream, I told you what my prediction for the championship is going to be, that neither of the McLarens actually finish the championship on top, with Fernando Alonso being the champion, considering Michael has suffered more reliability problems and Raikkonen shown his disability to win races when Michael folded. So I feel like Alonso is probably in the prime position to be quite opportunistic about McLaren's reliability woes and Raikkonen's inexperience in a championship fight. But if it's going the normal way and Michael wins this race, it's curtains for Raikkonen heading into Brazil, even considering even that if Raikkonen doesn't finish and Michael wins the race and Alonso's nowhere near the podium, Michael can seal the championship already.
Interesting to hear then from Nils that he thinks Alonso is going to be the one who is going to be winning the championship. It'd be interesting to hear what everyone else has to say in the chat. Speaking of the chat, welcome in everybody. Welcome in Horizon, Gallifreyan, Jake, FF, Joycey, Galactic Stag, Leandro, Benny, Leo and Typhon, as well as everyone else who is watching. Welcome on in on this lovely Sunday afternoon. It is nice weather for some F1 challenge action and staying inside rather than enjoying the weather. That's sarcastic. But in the in the practice, it was actually Renault's Fernando Alonso that was on top in the session, as he was a tenth and a half clear of Jarno Trulli in second position. He failed to qualify last time out in China, a pretty embarrassing result for him that knocked him out of any championship contention. Michael Schumacher was in third position, Kimi Raikkonen all the way down in 7th place, but BAR and Red Bull will both be pleased with their results, as all 4 of their drivers were in the top 10 ahead of Juan Pablo Montoya. Jacques Villeneuve all the way down in 17th position. Toru Takagi as well, returning to his seat. He is confirmed to be in that Toyota seat until the end of the season after a strong Chinese Grand Prix weekend. We had a couple of Japanese drivers in seats as well, as Yuji Ide was in the Brabham, Shinji Nakano in the Boutsen. He's competing in today's race weekend, as was planned by the Boutsen team, and this will also be Shinji Nakano's last race in Formula 1. So quite a shame to see him go, as he has been at point a solid midfield contender scoring points. But yeah, time has come for him to unfortunately retire and hang up the racing gloves, as there at the back of the field, Moreno Soprato in the other Boutsen. I've just realised I spelled Boutsen wrong there. Well done me. I've also made this graphic of all the news that has happened. Here is the driver lineups that are confirmed for 2005. So we've got Michael Schumacher and Kimi Raikkonen. They have just re-signed with the McLaren team going into this race weekend with McLaren. Renault have stuck with Fernando Alonso and Giorgio Pantano. That was fairly obvious. Ferrari have also signed Felipe Massa. They did that, I think, before the Chinese Grand Prix. So it's an all-Brazilian lineup down at Ferrari. Of course, Williams with the Honda engine that's being rebadged into a HP Invent engine will have Wirtz and Button, depending on, of course, Wirtz's condition, which is still not yet confirmed, but he is recovering at a decent rate, but still unsure whether he will start the 2005 season. Sperrifico is they've re-signed, they've not resigned. That is mate, English is rubbish. Anyway, Toyota have signed Ricardo Sperrifico prior to this Grand Prix, and BAR of course have got Juan Pablo Montoya and Jarno Trulli. Dams, of course, have taken BMW's Works engine from Williams, and Nicholas Minassian and Patrick Friesacker are at the team as well. I think my audio is a little bit whack. Let me turn my microphone down a little bit. I think that should be better. I think I was peaking a little bit too much. Pedro de la Rosa and Timo Glock remaining at Opel, as TWR Jaguar have got Ralf Schumacher and Björn Verdheim. Austrian Lamborghini, which is of course currently Brabham Mercedes, will have Nick Heidfeld staying at the team alongside Christian Klein. Then we've got the Rose Toyota team, which will retain its lineup as we know of so far. Boutsen will change to Ferrari Power for 2005 and sign 2 GP2 drivers in the form of champion Heikki Kovalainen and Enrico Torricello. And of course, Harrison Motorsport will have Takuma Sato with the Honda Power Unit alongside the Super Truck World Challenge champion of Sebastian Bourdais. Without further ado then, let's get into the qualifying session, an hour-long qualifying session here at the Suzuka International Circuit. And get your predictions down below on who you think will be on pole position. Who do you think, Nils, will be on pole?
Considering their usual good qualifying pace and that the practice times usually don't say the full story, I feel like Jarno Trulli's once again the one to watch out for in the qualifying session. Other than that, it's probably Michael getting the pole position.
So green light is on at the end of the pit lane as we've got the first driver out on circuit. It's the Rose Toyota of Justin Wilson who's going out there first. Let me pull up the news.
We have a lot for this race, right? Yeah.
Yes, there's a lot of news to go through. So speaking of Rose Toyota, there is Rose Toyota, This is the first news article. Is facing uncertain future as financial concerns grow. Serious questions are beginning to emerge regarding the future of Rose Toyota, with reports from within the team suggesting that the American outfit could be fighting for its very survival beyond the 2004 season. According to sources close to the organisation, mounting debt and ongoing financial difficulties have placed the team in an increasing.
I mean, you're here, so stream is also still there. We are here.
Yeah, the OBS just crashed. Interesting.
Yeah, OBS died. Okay, interesting.
Right.
Never had that.
I think we should be back now. Let me put that on the other side so I can keep an eye on it. Right, so where was I? While no official statement has been released by team management, the rumours have spread rapidly throughout the Suzuka paddock and have become one of the dominant talking points of the Japanese Grand Prix weekend. The situation represents a dramatic fall from grace for a team that entered Formula One with significant ambitions. Backed by Toyota power and a substantial American investment, the Rose Toyota team had hoped to establish themselves as a competitive midfield force. However, a combination of inconsistent results, mechanical unreliability, and a lack of major commercial backing has left the team struggling to keep pace financially with its rivals. On track, 2004 has been particularly difficult, as Justin Wilson has only just scored Rose Toyota's first points of the season in China. Even that achievement has done little to quiet concerns regarding the team's long-term stability. The recent race ban handed to Benoit Trulli after the Monza incident has only added to a season filled with setbacks. Speculation regarding a potential buyer has already begun, with several parties have already examined the team situation, though no serious candidate has emerged publicly. With the 2005 season rapidly approaching, any prospective purchaser would need to move quickly to ensure the team's assets, staff and Formula One entry are available for the next season. Industry observers note that the value of an existing Formula One operation remains attractive despite Rose Toyota's struggles, particularly given the increasing costs and logistical challenges involved in building a team from scratch. For now, though, no negotiations appear to be close to completion. So, as we look at Justin Wilson, this could potentially be one of his last races in Formula One, Nils, especially if no one puts a major investment into Rose Toyota. A lot of debt has apparently been collected by the team to the point where it's even impressive how they're here for the final couple of races this season.
I mean, results also don't speak for themselves with the team struggling competitively this season, but I feel like when you look at the livery in itself as well, you can see why the team have financial troubles. Not really a livery that you can easily get an advertisement on.
Yeah. Write that down.
Justin Wilson is now in pole position.
So Justin Wilson then with the first lap on the board with a 1 minute 39.8. Pedro de la Rosa also out there, as we just saw Jean-Christophe Bouillon there in the Renault coming out of the pits, and immediately his gearbox has jammed. Second sector split though for Pedro de la Rosa. He's faster, and especially in the last sector as well, but cannot go as fast as Justin Wilson. 6 thousandths off is the Spanish driver. So Pedro de la Rosa surprisingly behind him, considering the fact that often this season we've seen the Opel more often than not, I should say, be faster than the Rose Toyota. Now, one of the championship contenders is out on circuit, Fernando Alonso, purple in the first sector. Of course, he has to be in that Renault versus a Rose Toyota. Let me move that back over there because let's go and find another news report. There we go. Right. Another big talking point going into this Grand Prix as we now watch Fernando Alonso make his way up towards the line. I'll watch him make his first lap on the board. It's a 1:37.0, so nearly 3 seconds faster there than Justin Wilson. So Another team has hit trouble. Honda to withdraw from Formula 1 at the end of the 2004 season. In one of the most significant announcements of the modern Formula 1 era, Honda have confirmed that they will withdraw from the Formula 1 season at the end of the conclusion of the 2004 campaign. The decision comes as the manufacturer's second full works involvement in the sport, bringing to a close a difficult 5-year project that never truly managed to establish itself at the front of the grid. Since returning as a full works operation in 2000, Honda Racing have consistently found themselves trapped in Formula 1's midfield. The Japanese manufacturer has regularly finished between 6th and 8th in the Constructors' Championship throughout its time back in the sports, but 2004 has proven especially disastrous. Plagued by reliability failures, poor luck and inconsistent performance, Honda currently sit 11th in the standings, one of many of a handful of teams to have spent large parts of the season outside of the points entirely. Despite flashes of promise, particularly from Ralf Schumacher in recent races, the project has ultimately failed to keep the leap forward, or make the leap forward, I should say, of becoming a genuine front-running force. Both Honda drivers have reacted, saying to Sato, from Sato, I should say, "These guys have fetched me into Formula 1, and I'm forever grateful for their patience with me. Hopefully, I can repay the faith throughout my career." Of course, he is going to Harrison Motorsport for 2005. Meanwhile, Ralf Schumacher has said it's a shame to see such a giant go from the Formula 1 grid. I've only been here a short while, but I've seen how these hard-working, honest people work, and I hope they can all find new jobs inside Formula 1. There was also rumours that the Japanese prospect of Toshihiro Kaneishi could have joined the team for 2005. He was in GP2 this season and has in fact won a race for Team Chimera Autobacks, but unfortunately, obviously, with the team fading out at the end of 2004, that has come to an abrupt halt in that rumour mill as well. So, Nils, what are your thoughts of Honda leaving at the end of this season?
I mean, looking at Honda's history in this sport, it doesn't surprise somebody when they leave at the end of the season, because they usually leave as soon as there are hard times approaching for the team or for the manufacturer in itself. We have seen it in the 90s with him leaving after the financial crisis in Japan, and also them losing against Williams Renault. And also back in the mid-60s when they had their own team after trying to make a car out of aluminium work, which if you...
Wasn't it magnesium?
Magnesium. Which, when you know a bit about chemistry, you should know that does not work.
Montero's off as Furman goes third. I think it's a gearbox failure. I think that's him, yeah. It's a gearbox failure there for the Minardi man. Yeah, you can carry on.
But expect them to be back in like 3 to 4 years probably. So, wouldn't surprise me if they buy out Harrison Motorsport at one point.
But of course, with those guys gone, it also means that there is space now for Williams to take Honda's engines, as Honda had actually built a 2005 spec engine for the upcoming season, but of course with them pulling out, that would have gone to waste. But Williams have been quick to snap up that deal, and they'll be having Honda power for 2005. Honda will not be putting any development into the engine though.
That early as well.
Yeah, this is quite annoying. It's not even my internet either. It is just OBS crashing. That's quite annoying. We'll try and get through this stream. But, yeah. OBS brought to us by Honda. Yeah. It's just leaving, coming and going whenever it damn well pleases. So, yeah. Yeah, we had some YouTube issues, but we never had it to the point where OBS is just flat out crashing. It was before it was between going from OBS to YouTube. I can actively see it now. It's OBS just dying randomly, which is quite strange. Don't exactly know what to do about that because everything's completely fine on my end, apart from the fact that OBS just keeps going like that, which is quite annoying. Anyway, with Williams pairing Honda, they'll be hoping to match how Williams and Honda paired in the past. Of course, the last time that they did so was back in the 1980s. The last season, in fact, was 1987, and they did win the championship with Williams and Nelson Piquet. So, will be pretty interesting if they can fetch that good form back to the world of Formula 1 and Williams. Of course, the last championship for Williams in this career mode was 2001 with Alexander Wurz and Juan Pablo Montoya. Michael Schumacher, 2 tenths down through the first sector, is actually getting held up quite considerably behind, I think that's Teranosuke Takagi there in the Toyota. Yes, it is. So, seems like Michael Schumacher's first lap, at least, is not going to be overly competitive. But the order after the first 10 minutes is Fernando Alonso at the top, followed by Barrichello, the 2 Red Bulls of Massa and Webber, Ralph Furman, Pitsonia, Wilson, and De La Rosa completing the top 8. Right, so as I said earlier as well, Shinji Nakano is retiring at the end of this season. He's competing in his final ever Grand Prix here in Japan before he hangs up the boots to the world of Formula 1. Toyota retain Teranosuke Takagi for the final 2 rounds after a strong qualifying performance in China and a strong start to the race before he eventually retired earlier on. And Riccardo Sperrafico also is resigned, or rather kept on by the Toyota team for 2005 as well as McLaren holding on to Michael Schumacher and Kimi Raikkonen. There's a few upgrades as well. Did I actually write those down in a... Yes, I did.
Yeah, you did.
Yes. So Jaguar have fetched a brand new gearbox aimed to improve reliability. BAR have also reduced the weight of their chassis, as well as Brabham, who have fetched a new front wing designed to generate additional downforce. And that is all for the news of this week, as Justin Wilson here, down towards the line, he's purple actually through the middle sector. This could be a very decent second run for Wilson as he goes onto the front row of the grid. I expect, though, we'll see a lot of drivers making massive improvements throughout this session.
Could also be a good indicator, or well, help him in possible chances further down the grid or on the grid in general for next season with the future of his seat at Rose Motorsport or whatever they will be called if a potential buyer takes over the team. Not keeping him on for 2005, so it will be interesting to see if anybody takes notice of that current performance.
Shinji Nakano not looking overly competitive on this first run. Neither is Cristiano De Matta as he's over 2 seconds down in the first sector. Nakano across the line and he's the best part of 9 seconds off. Nick Heidfeld is also on a first run in the session down in 28th place. He'll make his way up to 10th position with that lap. The last time we were here in Suzuka was the site though of Brabham's and Nick Heidfeld's first ever points in Formula 1. I'm sure Nils will be hoping that the same result could be potentially repeated by Nick Heidfeld here today.
Definitely.
Jean-Christophe Bouillon out there on circuit right now as we look on board with Cristiano De Matta completing his lap out of the exit of the Casio Triangle, and this is not looking like an overwhelmingly good lap from the soon-to-be ex-Jaguar driver, and he goes 13th ahead of Glock, Jung and Nakano. However, Jean-Christophe Bouillon has got some serious pace in that Renault. He was only about half a tenth down on Fernando Alonso through the first sector, and we'll see what his time says in the second sector split. It will be up by 0.6 of a second, so we're likely here to see Jean-Christophe Bouillon, who did go out for a first run, eventually have it ruined by a gearbox failure. He's on his second run now, and he's looking to take pole position with 15 minutes on in the session. Across the line for him, and it is a 136.4. He goes to pole position by 0.6 of a second, and I've still forgot to put the radio things in. God damn it. Not feeling like doing the roast today. It's been too warm. Today's feast is sandwiches with assorted fruit. Oh yeah. Love assorted fruit. As long as there isn't too many melons in the assorted fruit, because you know you get a fruit. You get a fruit bowl. You know what I'm talking about. You get a fruit bowl and it's all melon. I don't like it when it's all melon. You want strawberries and not melon.
Look out what you're saying right here.
Bullion's on another lap as he catches up to actually Scott Dixon, who is also on his first lap in the session. He's going purple through the first part of the lap. Jacques Villeneuve also crossing the line in the next couple of seconds, and he will go to 16th with his first run of the session. Scott Dixon here about 2.5 seconds down on Jean-Christophe Bouillon, as here Bouillon himself just a couple of seconds behind, and the Frenchman is looking to be purple in all three sectors. He is through the first and second. Dixon goes 9th, and Bouillon will improve on his provisional pole time by 1/10 of a second there. So Bouillon on pole by 7/10.
Could be the chance that Renault needs in order to take the World Constructor Championship fight to Brazil if Bouillon has found his pace that he had in the 2001 season.
Could be the case.
Sonia sets the fastest lap in the middle sector.
I think you might retract that statement that you've just said, as Sato goes 7th position. Bitsonia looking very feisty through that middle sector. Here he is then out of the last corner, and this could be potentially somewhere close to the front of the field early on in this session, and it is good enough to take him behind the two Renaults ahead of Justin Wilson and into 3rd place in this session. Bouillon, though, seemingly just going for a race stint on this first part of the qualifying session, as he's again up in the first sector.
Sakata is stuck behind Jacques Villeneuve as Ralph Schumacher only for nearly 5 times down on Bouillon through the first sector. Keep in mind, Honda owns the circuit, so probably want to impress their home fans around the circuit for the last time they have the chance. Saka's 10.2 seconds down.
Bouillon purple through the first two sectors again. He's about 1/10 of a second up, and he's looking potentially like he could get into the 1 minute 35s in this session. It's a 1:36.1 this time round, as he goes again to even further extend his margin at the top of the timing sheet. He's 8.5 tenths ahead of teammate Fernando Alonso, but we're yet to see proper lap times from a majority of the field. Strawberries, an apple, and some blackcurrant sorbetto. I'm not a big fan of blackcurrant flavoured things. No, I don't know, it's just not very good, I think. Pedro de la Rosa, who's been the form man in recent rounds, is able to make his way just behind Fernando Alonso, actually by 1,000th of a second there. As I think, was that someone stopped?
I think I saw someone stationary.
Kimi Raikkonen looking fast. Is it Trulli?
Let's see if it was, in fact, the Italian.
I think it said car number 3. Yeah, I think it was Trulli.
It was Trulli, yeah.
Made his way out
of
the pits
already.
His suspension's collapsed there on the front right. You can see it.
Just moving along the racing line, obstructing the Pedro de la Rosa.
Great stuff there from Jarno Trulli. As where is Kimi Raikkonen? He is 23rd. I'm going to go all the way here. There we go. He's purple through the first sector.
Button up to 14th ahead of Nick Heidfeld and Toru Takagi. But Raikkonen now looking to take Bouillon's provisional pole for himself.
And of course,
Desperately needs that first race victory in this season.
yeah, I was about to say, it's crucial for him now that he starts getting towards the front of the field. We've seen him many times this season, second places, third places, fourth places, but this is crunch time now for Kimi Raikkonen. He's been caught by his teammate in the Drivers' Championship. Alonso's waiting in the wings if any one of those guys messes up, and he really needs to be the top dog at McLaren in these last 2 rounds if he wants to take the fight to Schumacher, and does so with a 35.9, the first driver to get into the 1 minute 35s. No one actually is on a lap right now. Everyone's either on in or out laps. So we'll just stay on board with Mark Webber.
Who is yet to be confirmed in any seat, with Red Bull and Toyota currently the only 2 teams with options still available. You would think if Red Bull would be confident with his services, they would have announced them even earlier, but currently he's without a drive by them.
He has had decent pace in this 2004 season, but I think the issues for Mark Webber kind of lie in his consistency, really. Even though, granted, that car has been quite difficult to drive, we have seen, probably more often than not, it's Mark Webber that is making the mistakes more than Felipe Massa, as that's another Ferrari coming out the pits, and another Ferrari with issues. I think that's a gearbox failure there. Yes, that is Barrichello. Yes, it's a gearbox failure there for the Ferrari man, so this is massively setting him back as we watch on board now with Mark Webber on his second lap in the session. Massa currently in 9th place following his first lap as he also makes his way out of the pits.
Heading down to the second Deckner curve, there is the first sector split approaching. Would be cool to see actually the times, not the time comparison between Kimi Raikkonen and Christophe Bouillon, but Mark Webber only a 40.5 for the first sector. Oh, approaching Spoon. Long winding left-hander. Need to carry as much speed as possible through here to get a good, gotta get a good power delivery over this straight, heading up to the 130R that has been resurfaced over the years and altered a bit. It's not 130 degrees anymore, but still carries the name. Now into the Casio triangle, also obviously resurfaced, not the same corner where Prost and Senna had their collisions that many years ago. Up to the line for Mark Webber. It's all the way down. This long start-finish straight and jumps to 5th position on his second run.
We'll see what his teammate Felipe Massa can do shortly, as we see Justin Wilson here. He's just gone past Rubens Barrichello, potentially could have been held up. Yes, he's 2 seconds down for the first 2 sectors, so it's looking unlikely that the Rose Toyota man will be capable of improving on his lap time, as Felipe Massa will now begin his second lap in this qualifying session. Of course, his second to last race with Red Bull before he moves to Ferrari to make an all-Brazilian lineup at the Scuderia for 2005. Do you think that Massa will be able to beat Barrichello next season?
In Barrichello's current form, definitely. Massa is probably one of the more underrated talents in the midfield, greatly hampered by a car that is not properly set up with a loose rear end because of too much front downforce, but I feel like Massa is definitely an underused talent and could challenge his compatriot quite massively at Ferrari, especially because Barrichello's stance in the team has been greatly hampered by his performances. So Massa across the first sector split for, well, nearly 5 times down on the first sector. In the meantime, Michael is out on circuit and improving through the first sector, trying to take the provisional pole off his teammate.
Yeah, Schumacher was 3 tenths up on Kimi Raikkonen through that first part of the lap. Raikkonen only has done one lap in this session so far, and this is Michael Schumacher's second flying lap, so we'll see what the time comparison will be across the second sector split. It's 0.5 of a second. This is looking fairly comfortable for the 5-time world champion to take what would be another pole position in this 2004 season. I've got to say, McLaren did not look like the strongest car at the start of the season, but they've really upgraded it into such an incredible machine where Renault and Ferrari, at least in qualifying, have got absolutely nothing to touch it. Apart from the occasional Jarno Trulli pole position, it's often been McLaren on the top in qualifying. As Massa goes fourth, Michael Schumacher to pole position by 0.6 of a second.
Next up is Toru Takagi in the Toyota, 3.2 seconds up through the second sector on his personal best. Will look to impress on his home at his home Grand Prix. Potentially be an option for Toyota heading into 2005. Across the line, jumps up to 5th position behind Felipe Massa. So currently, Red Bull has the upper hand over the Toyota, at least in the hands of Toru Takagi.
Yeah,
so now next up. Yeah, go on.
It's been a very strong tenure so far for Toru Takagi. Of course, you've only got a small sample size as Alonso purple through the first sector. Ralph Furman now completing his lap, and he will set a lap time of a 1:36.1, and that's enough to take him onto the front 2 rows.
Actually matching Bullion's lap time. But Bullion obviously has set that lap time earlier on in the session. Alonso now running the spoon corner. He was obviously the quickest in the free practice session, so with the Renault superior downforce and that Suzuka is not power dependent circuit, Renault has probably upper hand over McLaren, at least in the qualifying session as it seems. Oh, for the Casio triangle. Carries much speed now up to the line. Where can the Spaniard go? Can he take the provisional pole away from Michael? Looks good at least, and he does.
So a change in hand. We've seen Raikkonen on pole, Schumacher on pole, and now Alonso at the top of the timing sheet. The 3 championship leaders currently separated by 0.9 as the top 3 in this qualifying order. Timo Glock further behind, meanwhile. He's in 19th place after his first banker run, and we expect him to improve quite considerably on this next lap. The German has scored only 1 point finish so far this season, that being the 4th place that he secured in Monza, and that lap time is good enough to take him up to 13th position in this session, directly behind Justin Wilson.
Pitsonia goes 10 fastest, barely improves on his lap time, greatly hampered through the first sector by Patrick Friesacker, who's joining Dam's Lola BMW or whatever they are called now. Next season will look to improve. He's currently only 23rd, and across the line goes to 16th. Good improvement by the Austrian.
I've got to say, though, for Patrick Friesacker, in the second half of this season, I feel like he's been quite a way off what he's previous been at the start of the season. Of course, the first part of the season, he was teammates with Shinji Nakano in the Bootsen. Ricardo Zonta came in, and since then, I feel like Friesacker has kind of just been not quite at his absolute best compared to Ricardo Zonta. Zonta, more often than not, is out-qualifying him, which is quite a surprise considering in terms of like career trajectories, they're pretty similar. Of course, both of them having a fairly good standout debut season. Ricardo Zonta with a 3rd place at the 2000 Canadian Grand Prix, and Friesacker with a similar results, 4th place last season at Monza, not Imola. As we see Nicholas Minassian on his first lap, looking to potentially being held up by here Jenson Button, and Minassian replaces Friesacker on the 8th row of the grid to 16th position for the Frenchman.
Soon to be teammates, Minassian and Friesacker, but Montoya next up, who has yet to set a lap time, same with Jarno Trulli, who is out on circuit. Montoya and Trulli obviously heading to BAR Audi for next season. Will look to close out his BMW Williams years with a decent two races, considering he only took his, I think, 5th race victory or 3rd race victory this season.
I think it's either 4 or 5, yeah. Montoya, there's been so much potential swirling around his name. Of course, joining Formula 1 in 2000 with Williams, he's been here now for 5 seasons at the same team, and they've only, since 2001, really just been falling backwards. As such, it kind of makes sense to be moving away, try a different challenge, see if he can become a Formula 1 world champion, Colombia's first, with BAR. Of course, that'll be difficult with his teammate being Jarno Trulli. Of course, the two of them are quite fiery in terms of their personalities. Do you think throughout 2005 we could see them potentially butt heads with one another in the season?
Potentially, there could be trouble brewing at the BA Audi headquarters with two probably drivers that expect to be the number one in the team and probably also quite evenly matched in terms of pace. With, I think I would give Montoya the upper hand in raw pace over Trulli, but Trulli has the more consistent driving style. But I feel like there could, if it comes down to Trulli and Montoya in the championship, I feel like whoever would be third in the standings has the prime opportunity to take the championship away from them, as Raikkonen goes second fastest, 2.5 times down on Alonso. Trulli, in the meantime, fastest through the middle sector.
Yeah, Trulli not leaving any stone unturned in this session, unlike in China, where he waited 50 minutes before going out on the wrong tyres in the wrong weather. It's absolute worst in that qualifying session, and as such, finished last and 30th in that qualifying session. This time he'll make no mistakes. He goes to the front row of the field, just half a tenth away from Fernando Alonso, but it is still the Spaniard on pole position right now. His teammate Rubens Barrichello currently down in 16th. They've both had mechanical issues, but they're now both out there on laps. The Brazilian half a second down through the first 2 sectors. Meanwhile, this could not be as big of an improvement as what Jarno Trulli has had. Yeah, it's only 5th place for him and the best part of a second away from the Spaniard in the Renault. Ralf Schumacher also out there on circuit right now. He's 5 thousandths down on his previous personal best as he makes his way to the final chicane.
Now, Trulli even improving further on his lap. 007 up in the first sector and setting the fastest one to Coulthard in the meantime on his first flyer. 2.2 seconds down in the first sector, obviously. Probably just getting a banker lap on the board. With his teammate also currently only sitting 21st behind Jenson Button.
I don't know if I said, by the way, but welcome in Auto Experts as well as Maximiliano. Welcome in everybody as well who has joined us in this stream. I don't think we've had any more issues with OBS since the last time I realised.
I think so either.
We've got Jarno Trulli here. Purple in the first sector, purple in the second sector, and he's looking to take pole position for his very own into the 1:34s then for the Italian as he goes to pole position by 1.5 tenths ahead of Fernando Alonso. So it's advantage Ferrari in this qualifying session. Ferrari, Renault, McLaren, Ferrari, Renault. You'll have to say though, overall it looks fairly even between all 3 teams in this qualifying session.
Probably his teammate Barrichello only 5th fastest still, doing another lap on the set of tires. Furman improving through the first sector as well as Scott Dixon, who is only 2 tenths down on the Irishman.
Yeah, the Irishman still without a seat for 2005, and with 2 seats 3 seats technically, but between 2 teams still available, Toyota and Red Bull. Which one do you think is more likely that we'll see Ralph Furman at next season?
With his current form and him outperforming a former Toyota associated driver Menacion, I feel like Toyota would do well if they signed Furman, especially with Sparrow staying on, 2 drivers that have greatly impressed the paddock this season.
Yeah,
I feel like
Menacion is
Furman
also
is the perfect fit.
Yeah, I see. Furman is also the 2002 Formula Nippon champion as well, so he does have experience in a Japanese setting. So I feel like if Toyota want anybody that would make sense, that if Fisichella does not come back before the start of next season, Ralph Furman will probably be the way to go. For Red Bull, though, it's probably realistically David Coulthard and Mark Webber, I'd say, are the 2 front runners for the seats at Red Bull. I think that makes the most sense. Obviously, David Coulthard without a seat in 2005 as of right now, and he'll be wanting to stay in the Formula 1 action. I feel like he's been a fairly decent servant to the BAR team as well. In 2004 especially, he's been fantastic, I'd say, as Takagi still in 10th position. His teammate Sparrow not set a lap time yet. Neither has Benoit Cholet or Tiago Monteiro, although the Portuguese driver's shortcomings have been down to a gearbox failure. Welcome in, Martin, by the way.
I would also consider that Takagi was held up in the first sector, lost 2 seconds, but I feel like if obviously Christian Klein would have been available for Red Bull, or they actually had the intention of signing him, he would have filled a seat with them without even thinking about it because of his Red Bull association.
I don't know. There is also Vitantonio Liuzzi on their books as well, isn't there? So he could also be an option
Formula
as well.
1 experience.
He does have Formula 1 experience. A couple of races he did for Audi in 2003 as their test and reserve driver. He left the Red Bull fold at the end of 2002 and rejoined it for the start of 2004 after being dropped by Audi when they merged with BAR. And Liuzzi will probably be potentially eyeing up that Red Bull seat. Although, do you think two safe pairs of hands would probably be smarter of an idea compared to a brand new rookie into the sport?
I feel like if you sign Coulthard to the seat, you essentially have 4 sets of safe hands with his experience, and obviously him being a world champion. You could not nurture Liuzzi in potentially becoming a decent upper midfield driver as well. I feel like Mark Webber's shortcomings over the season have been greatly highlighted by Red Bull, which I stated earlier that they have not re-signed him yet, and probably are looking at the potential of elevating Liuzzi in the second seat, and maybe just the talks with Coulthard about the numbers in his contract holding up the announcement of the Scotsman joining the team as well, as Nakano jumps up to 23rd.
Are you saying that David Coulthard is a Scottish octopus then, if he's got 4 pairs of hands?
Potentially, yeah.
Here we are with Alex Young. He's in 27th place right now in the drop zone, but he's looking to improve with a 41.0 on his first sector splits. Obviously improving on his first sector before, which I think was at least a second slower than that. He is 3 seconds up on his previous best, but is 4 seconds down on Jarno Trulli's time, so he could potentially struggle to get ahead of maybe Nick Heidfeld and Shinji Nakano, that sort of range, but should be able to at least jump ahead of Cristiano D'Amata with this second lap in the session. Jean-Christophe Bouillon is also out there on circuit. He's on the 3rd row as of right now, as Alex Young goes up to 23rd position, actually. He does get ahead of Nakano and Heidfeld with that lap, as Jean-Christophe Bouillon is in the 2nd sector, making his way through the Spoon Curve. He is 1.3 seconds faster than Takuma Sato through that first part of the lap. Menacion, though, is a tenth faster than him through the first part of this lap. He's a second down on Trulli through the second sector and 7,000ths down on his previous personal best, as the Frenchman will be looking to potentially pull away a little bit from Ralph Furman. I think it's going to be a bit of a stretch for him to beat Barrichello, considering there's about a 6/10 gap between the two of them. And across the line for Bouillon, that is a 36.2, which is not an improvement on his lap time.
Minassian, in the meantime, greatly improves. 2.4 seconds up on his previous best. Only sitting 19th currently, with his teammate up in 7th. Obviously, Furman quite custom around here. It will be a hard task for Minassian to beat him. And does so, though. Actually, quite convincingly, considering they are both in the same machinery. 0.28 up on his teammates, as Glock was held up, I think, through the second sector.
A great lap there from Nicolas Minassian to get into 6th position. It's not often that we have seen this season, especially in the second half of the year, that Furman has been the slower out of the two Dams drivers. 4 pairs of hands and a chin that crosses a time zone. Coulthard's a Lovecraftian monster, and I'm here for it. Yes, indeed. He can actually... Do you know that one scene from Tuned where Mika Hakkinen does his own pit stop? He actually does that, but within the car itself. He doesn't actually ever get out of the car, because he's just got long, eight long arms, yeah. Here is Cristiano Di Matta beginning his next lap in the qualifying session. I wanted to try and find Mark Webber.
13th.
There he is. He is half a second up through the first 2 sectors, I should say. Nearly 6/10 up, which would elevate him closer to his teammate, but not quite past him. It should get him into the top 10 at least here, as he makes his way around the final corner and up towards the line here for Mark Webber. It's a 136.7, and that is 10th place for the Australian, about 3 or 4 tenths away from his teammate, who is 1 place higher right now. Sato also on a lap, fails to find an improvement.
Next up, obviously, Cristiano Di Matta, currently also quite unsafe, down in 26th position, with Villeneuve Speraffico yet to improve or even set a lap time. Around 20 minutes to go.
I think he'd be quite disappointed as well if he failed to qualify, considering he had a fantastic race last time out in the Chinese Grand Prix. 7th place for him in that race, in which he came up against a much faster in a straight line, at least, Pedro de la Rosa in that race, and nearly actually beat him in that Grand Prix. So it was nearly 6th place on the cards for Cristiano Di Matta in that race, and a commendable reason as to potentially why he could stay on the Formula 1 grid. But I think his sights are now on IndyCar for 2005 and onwards, and across the line for him into the top 20. Jacques Villeneuve, as such, is in the bottom 4, and he's looking to potentially be held up here by Speraffico, who's also looking to start his first lap in the session. The Canadian has not scored a single... No, he scored 1 points finish in his tenure at Williams. I think that was a 5th place finish at the United States Grand Prix, and across the line for the 1997 World Champion. And that is a lap time only good enough, actually, for 19th position, as Pitsonia has already completed all of his qualifying laps. He will start no higher than 14th in this Grand Prix.
And Montero has another problem.
Oh! That's a big smash.
Oh dear.
That's a big smash there for Thiago Montero. Looks like potentially on the exit of the Degnus 2 curve there, and he potentially could be out of this qualifying session at the very least.
Degna 2 usually not the place you want to have an accident in. Obviously, you don't want to have an accident anywhere, but Degna 2 is obviously fast approached, and that's a hefty shunt.
A big smash there indeed for the Portuguese driver. Hopefully he's okay from that one. It's looking unlikely, though, that he was even going to qualify in this race, but Yeah, it's a massive setback for the Minardi team as he is currently in 30th place. That's 2 mechanical retirements or failures that he's had in this session already.
I don't think they have a spare car remaining.
Yeah, they probably don't, considering the minimal budget that they have. He probably will be fine from that. He isn't dead. He might miss the last race of the season potentially from that crash, but
yeah.
Other than that, it wouldn't be close to life.
It's a tire barrier.
Yeah.
Which he hit. Quite sizable, quite high speed, but still he hit the tire barrier side on, so.
Yeah, it's quite difficult to gauge crashes like that, considering, it kind of absorbed the pressure, wouldn't it? A tyre barrier. And of course, with F1 Challenge, everything's just a concrete wall in this game, so you do have to fetch that into consideration at least. As Riccardo Sperifico is actually held up there a little bit by Jacques Villeneuve. Not very useful on his first qualifying lap as he'll make his way across the line. It's only 25th place for the Brazilian driver who has resigned with Toyota for 2005. Montero's not dead, guys. Come on.
What the hell are we on about? Currently, Benoit Trollier, Heidfeld, Nakano, and obviously Montero in the drop zone with Heidfeld and Trollier back out on circuit. Michael, in the meantime, improving for the first sector, looking to threaten, not truly at least, but he's 3/10 down on the Italian through the middle sector as well.
Yeah, McLaren do not look strong around this Suzuka circuit. It's certainly quite a shock to those guys as they've been in imperious form in qualifying as of late, especially with Michael Schumacher, and across the line for him at least he will go ahead of his teammate and up into 3rd position, although he still needs to find the best parts of 4/10 with 15 minutes to go in this session. Trulli is also out there on circuit. He's the only driver so far to make his way into the 1:34 34s. It's re-signed, yes, it's re-signed, not yeah. He's been kept on. He is extending his contract. He is staying with the team. He's committed to another season. Use all these synonyms instead. I will not say the word re-signed ever again, apart from the fact that there's news reports for the 94 career that say that. But yeah, no. With Benoit Trollier, he's on his first lap in the session, and of course, with this first lap, he's probably not going to be overly competitive with this one. 14 minutes to go in the session, and it's last of the running order with a 1:43. I expect him to go faster if he were able to set a next lap in the session. What about Nick Heidfeld? He is in the bottom 4 right now and could be on course for his second non-qualification of the season as he now begins his next lap in the session. It looks like he was a little bit scared there by a potential driver coming out the pits. It could lose him a little bit of time as he makes his way through turns 1 and 2 and then up the Suzuka S's, left, right, left again through turn 5, and then right again through turn 6. Turn 7 is arguably one of the most satisfying corners to get right on this circuit. The Dunlop curve, as it's a long loop all the way up and left, and then into the fast Degner corners. Degner 1 comes first. Degner 2 you've got to slow down and brake for, as he's got a Ferrari directly behind him. Hopefully that doesn't hold him up too much. Oh, it has done, unfortunately. This could be a bit of a problem as he makes his way into the hairpin. It's Rubens Barrichello that's gotten in the way a little bit there of Nick Heidfeld out of the exit of the hairpin now, and he'll make his way to the spoon curve, maybe picking up a little bit of slipstream from the Ferrari driver. It's a 41.0 through that first sector, not strong at all there from the German, as now spoon curve, 2 apexes. First one is faster, second one not quite as fast, as he'll now make his way towards the legendary 130R, as Nils said, not 130 degrees anymore, but he'll make his way to that corner. Should be flat out in a majority of the cars on the grid, 311 kilometers an hour before he makes his way and turns in to the apex of the corner. Then the Casio triangle, right first, then left, reprofiled to be less tight, and earlier on that straight as Shinji Nakano's run into problems. We'll check that in a second. Nick Heidfeld, though, up towards the line, and it's looking like it's a 138. It's going to be 23rd for now. It pushes Alex Young into the bottom 4, as that is Shinji Nakano driving around without a rear wing. So let's have a quick look at what happened with the Japanese driver.
Look like...
Is it certified
Maybe a
Jarno Trulli
collision.
moment?
Yeah, it is a
Yes.
collision between Trulli and Nakano, and could see Trulli maybe pick up a grid penalty.
I don't know. I don't think Nakano was on a lap, though. He kind of wasn't getting out of the way of Jarno Trulli, so maybe Ferrari will argue that one in the steward's room. But for right now, Shinji Nakano will have to drive that one back to the pits without a rear wing, and probably not with another chance in this qualifying session to improve. Manassian, however, does improve on his lap, but stays 6th in this session. Mark Webber now starting his lap as Montoya all the way down in 16th position, as I was looking at Justin Wilson there in the Rose Toyota, which is similar colours but not the same livery or car skill whatsoever.
Obviously, Wilson also being a former BMW Williams driver, being a stand-in for Montoya as well, but Montoya is quite accustomed to starting lower down and having a long first stint to make up the ground in the races. Not usually something that you want to do around Suzuka with the tight and twisty corners. And next to none overtaking opportunities. It's a driver circuit, but not a great race circuit, if you understand where I'm coming from. Up to the line for the Colombian. And sets himself up for P10 as it currently stands.
Rubens Barrichello not improving on his lap as he is down by 0.4 of a second and stays in 5th position. Raikkonen out there on circuit. Trulli is also now setting a lap as Fernando Alonso is exiting the pit lane. Thiago Monteiro is just out on track again. So somehow they have a spare car down at Minardi, unless they're making him use Alex Young's car now, which would be a mood, but it's unlikely that he'll probably qualify for this Grand Prix, or with Alex Young either. But as it currently stands with 10 minutes to go, Jarno Trulli on pole position ahead of Alonso, Michael Schumacher, Raikkonen, Barrichello, Minassian, Bouillon, Furman, Massa and Montoya. Monteiro is just under 4 seconds down through the first 2 sectors. This could be potentially somewhere around his teammate.
Verifico is heading out back on circuit. So Toyota getting their man out once again to rectify this slight dent.
David Coulthard currently on a lap. After first lap, he's down in 24th position, but he is up by 2 seconds on this lap. And it's likely that the Scot will probably steer well clear of the bottom 4 in this session. He is indeed. We'll check that in a second, but we'll first see the 2000 World Champion complete his second lap of the session into the 1 minute 36s, and it's a top 10 start, at least for David Coulthard, as he moves up to 9th position. Raikkonen here getting held up by Ralf Schumacher, and he's unlikely to make his way at least ahead of his teammate in this qualifying session. Michael Schumacher, in turn, out there on an out lap. Fernando Alonso, though, on a push lap, could be potentially held up here by the BAR, I think that is, of David Coulthard, who's just completed his most recent lap.
In the meantime, Furman, Weber, Takagi, Sato, Glock have finished their qualifying program, with each either having settled 12 or 11 laps in the session. That are also once again improving through the middle sector. I would have expected the Opel to struggle through there and have more power, more a capable car through the final sector, considering it's 2 corners essentially.
Monteiro improves again, so now it's Sperrifico that needs to find 0.2 on this next lap. Probably should be able to in clear air, but if he's held up, that could potentially be issues for the Brazilian driver. Felipe Massa is improving through the middle sector. Alonso is, however, not improving through the first sector. A 38.6 for the Spaniard. As the second sector split presents, he is 0.2 down on Jarno Trulli's time through the second part of the lap. Massa stays in 9th place with that lap. Or actually moves up ahead of Coulthard, I should say, as Fernando Alonso will round the final corner. This needs to be an absolute belter of a final sector if he wants to take pole position here in Suzuka, and it's not. It's a 35.3, which holds him in second position. Now it's time for Michael Schumacher to potentially take himself to the top of this qualifying order. We have seen many times this season that Schumacher just pulls something out of the bag in the final run in qualifying, and we'll see if the same is here today. He's currently 4/10 down on Jarno Trulli as it currently stands, and about a couple hundredths actually ahead of Kimi Raikkonen. He's in 3rd position as of right now, and he is down on Jarno Trulli's time through the first sector. We do not know, however, if he is improving on his previous personal best, as Bouillon goes 7th. He is improving on his previous personal best. Sperrifico also looking to get himself out of the bottom 4, sorry. As here, Michael Schumacher potentially could get held up by Shinji Nakano if he catches him a little too early on this lap. Schumacher could potentially be hindered here of potentially... I don't know how many times I want to say potentially in this sentence, but Sperrifico goes 7th, and Michael Schumacher is marginally up through the first 2 sectors. Shinji Nakano here could make his way into the pits. No, he's starting a lap, so Michael Schumacher could maybe not improve across the line. 35.2. I hope you realise what I did there.
Yeah.
As Trulli's found traffic on his lap, so he's not improving. Manassian is out there on circuits.
Benoit Trollier and Friesaka are on laps currently. I've seen correctly. And indeed it is. Trollier up to 26th. Jung is not improving, will stay at highest 29th. Friesaka is the driver holding up Bouillon and Trulli, so his lap time is essentially a non-factor as well. So Friesaka, if he doesn't go for a second consecutive lap, is out in this qualifying session as well.
He potentially has potential. Potentially. Yes, indeed. Button not improving on his second sector split, and as such may not improve into the top 20. He needs to find about 0.3 of a second to go ahead of Timo Glock, who currently resides on the 10th row, and we'll see if the Briton could make his way up another position in this session. He's ahead of Jacques Villeneuve, surprisingly, and no improvement found for him. Jacques Villeneuve, though, is up by 0.7 of a second, so the Canadian here on course for a big improvement if he can hold it for the rest of the lap. In front of him, there is no traffic, so he should be clear and ready to go and find an improvement through the second and third sectors. Villeneuve is currently 1.6 seconds down on Juan Pablo Montoya, who currently is in 12th position. And as of right now, we've got both Bootsons and both Minardis going out of the session. It's pretty similar to how it was at the early part of this season, as Jacques Villeneuve making his way across the second sector split. Nick Heidfeld finding improvements, and it's a second worth of improvement for the Canadian. Heidfeld into the top 20. That pushes Villeneuve actually down another place. Sato down in 24th. De Matta and Trellier completing what would be the back of the grid. What about Jacques Villeneuve, though, who is in the 38s, currently improves to a 36.6, which is good enough to put him on the 7th row of the grid, just behind Scott Dixon.
Minassian still finding an improvement for the second sector, up on his lap time. Potentially could challenge, I said the thing as well, Barrichello.
And here is the Frenchman across the line. And he needs to find 0.2 of a second, unable to find anything. Yes, so he stays in 6th position.
Toyota faster for the middle first sector. If he finds the lap time required for the middle sector, he could jump ahead of David Coulthard, who he will replace at BR Audi. Would be nice to see the sector splits for the Colombian, not the best time for each sector that is being held there by Jarno Trulli.
Saka's also done in this session. He's completed all of his laps, so it's up to Shinji Nakano to lift himself out the bottom 4 for Boots, and as Montoya across the line, he goes ahead now of David Coulthard, so it's a Williams bred with a BAR filling right now between 11th and 14th on the grid as Felipe Massa exits, I think, the pit lane just now, and he is in the top 10. Kimi Raikkonen also out there on circuit. I don't know if he's on a lap as of right now, as the conditions have remained at a nice, steady 24 degrees Celsius. With 2 minutes to go then, it could be Alonso Raikkonen that could take pole position. Trulli and Michael Schumacher both still in the pits.
Scott Dixon, in the meantime, does not find the improvement required to jump ahead of his teammate. Will at most stay 13th. Multiple drivers behind already having completed their qualifying runs. Raikkonen starting his final qualifying push lap. Heading up the hill once again through the Suzuka S's. Obviously a nimble car required around here, especially good suspension also needed and in par with the downforce required. Quite a bumpy circuit, being an old school circuit as well. Down to the second Degner curve, obviously named after the motorcycling legend in Japan, Degner. Up for the first sector, but not finding the time that he needs to beat Michael currently, but keep in mind he was held up through the middle and last sector, so if he finds that time that he lost behind the Honda of Ralf Schumacher, he can potentially challenge Michael for third. With Barrichello, Trulli and Michael having completed their qualifying runs as well. Only 30 seconds remaining in the session regardless.
And Raikkonen then looking to find about half a tenth of a second. That's all that he would need to potentially take himself ahead of Michael Schumacher, improving through each of the first 2 sectors, and this could be advantage Raikkonen in qualifying, which will be crucial in the championship picture. Across the line, it's not good enough. He improved through every single one of the 3 sectors, but it is not enough. Only a 37,000th of a second improvement. As the checkered flag now falls, Kimi Raikkonen will not be able to improve, and as such, Michael Schumacher will start ahead of his teammate. Fernando Alonso on the front row, with Jarno Trulli on pole position as of right now. Alonso, though, is on a lap, as is Felipe Massa right now, who are looking to potentially take himself ahead of Ralph Furman. I'm just going to keep saying potentially and try and not think about it all too much, as I don't have any other words in my vocabulary. Alex Young has crashed somewhere, or not. He's got a gearbox failure. That's a shame for him. What about Alonso? He's stuck behind a BAR. The Red Bull of Felipe Massa fails to find time, so we'll stick back with Fernando Alonso and see if he can find the time that he needs to take pole position. He cannot, because there is a BAR in the way, which is a shame for him. And up towards the line for Fernando Alonso. Obviously, it will not be pole, as he is a long way down, which confirms that Jarno Trulli is on pole position for the Japanese Grand Prix. The man who was 30th and last in the qualifying session in Shanghai has taken pole position for the penultimate race here in Suzuka. Alonso on the front row of the grid, and the 2 McLarens just behind him. Second, third and fourth are our championship contenders. Alonso on 70 points, Schumacher 75, Raikkonen 75. Barrichello completing the top 5 in the second Ferrari, followed by Manassian, Sperrifico and Bouillon in the second Renault. He could potentially score points from there. Ralph Furman in the second Dams, not for many times this season that he's been out-qualified in such a way by his teammates, as Felipe Massa completes the top 10, ahead of Montoya, Coulthard, Dixon, Villeneuve completing the top 14. Webber next up, followed by Takagi, who has been out-qualified by Sperrifico in this session, so it's 1-1 between the 2 Toyota drivers in qualifying. Pedro de la Rosa starts off on row 9 alongside Antonio Pitsonia, with Ralf Schumacher and Justin Wilson completing the 20, followed by Heidfeld, Glock, Button, Sato at his home Grand Prix, Damata and Trellier all making it onto the grid. So both for his Toyotas on the grid. Impressive actually from Dustin Wilson up in 20th position. That means that the two Bootsons of Friesaka and Nakano, as well as the two Minardis of Montero and Young, all fail to qualify. And would you say that was fairly expected from the practice session times that we saw in earlier on in the weekend, Nils?
I would have still predicted Michael to be a bit closer in general, but other than that, Trulli being at the top was also my prediction that he probably will take pole position. Other than that, the grid is essentially how the running order is currently in the season, with obviously Boutsen and Rose Motorsport quite close in the standing in the pace department. I feel like Friesaka's lap is not really down to his actual ability, more than to him having trouble with traffic. So I would have expected at least Friesaka to make it through, and Wilson for Rose Motorsports. Other than that, this was pretty much a standard qualifying session after we had a quite interesting one again in China.
Join us in a few moments then, we'll be back for 53 laps of intense racing action around the Suzuka Circuit. Be right back. Okie dokie. We are back for the start of the Japanese Grand Prix. 53 laps ahead of the drivers. Get your predictions down in chat on who you think will win the Japanese Grand Prix. No D&Qs. Nice. I forgot to mention this, but last time out in China, Nicholas Manassian made contact with Ricardo Zonta and got a 5-second penalty. And because he didn't reach the checkered flag, that was converted into a 3-place grid penalty. So Manassian's 6th place start is relegated to 9th. Welcome in, Derby. Yes, you have joined us just in time for the start of this Grand Prix. And also, we'll be back in a minute or two. Okie dokie, I am back. Perfect time. You were left unsupervised and you didn't do anything about it.
Good chat. Good chat.
So Dashi believes that Toranosuke Takagi is going to get a point. Interesting. He is currently starting from, that was interesting, 16th position on the grid.
16!
His teammate Riccardo Sbarafico, a fantastic qualifying session from him. Following Nicholas Manassian's grid penalty, he's starting up in 6th position and just exactly proving why Toyota keep him for 2005. You wish me a boring race. Thank you, Jake, you bitter old man. As here we have Jarno Trulli starting on pole position. Quite the turnaround from his Chinese Grand Prix antics. Alonso to win, Raikkonen podium, and Schumacher DNF. That would pretty much almost certainly put Alonso within a point or something. Well, if Raikkonen was third, then it would put Alonso within a point of Raikkonen, and then Schumacher would be a long way behind. 6 points, wouldn't it? Yeah, so you're thinking it's going to be advantage Raikkonen in the championship, but Alonso's going to be there. Interesting. Raikkonen has led the championship for quite a number of rounds this season. Michael Schumacher has only led the championship going into this round so far. I don't think Alonso's led the championship either. So, oh my, championship implications. Incredible James, welcome in.
Trulli win, Alonso second, Raikkonen third, so quite a boring race essentially. I feel like if we have a head-to-head between both McLarens on actual pace without any reliability problems threatening Michael's car, considering Raikkonen had like only 3 retirements down to mechanical, I would consider Michael to have this one definitely in the bag. Also, Zavis, yes, he's leading on countback. They are equal on points heading into this round.
Yes, so Michael Schumacher, with 7 wins this season, is on 75 points. Kimi Raikkonen, with no wins to his name, is also on 75 points. And Fernando Alonso is third in the championship with 2 wins or 3 wins, one of those two, but he has 70 points to his name. So if it were to go to count back, it would be Schumacher, Alonso, Raikkonen, if they were all to finish on equal points from this stage onwards, as we wait for the final couple of drivers to make their way into their pit boxes. And would you look at that, one of the last people again. Oh look, it's Fernando Alonso in the Renault.
Typical.
Not the last, but he is one of the last.
Typical Renault.
Keogh's going for a Barrichello win. That's audacious.
Oh, there's a higher chance that Sparrofico or Ralph Furman is winning than Barrichello.
Yes, so Michael Schumacher, when he has finished, he has won, apart from the Australian Grand Prix, where he had a crash early on after being involved in or collected someone in an incident, and still finished 4th in that race after being pretty much at the back of the grid at the end of lap 1. So, Schumacher has pretty much been in imperious form whenever it comes to a Grand Prix. But today could change. With Trulli on pole, Alonso second, and the 2 McLarens on the second row, it is time to go racing for the Japanese Grand Prix.
Hello there. Welcome to Japan. The weather, as so often is the case here, is just wonderful. Trulli first. Fernando Alonso second. Schumacher third. Kimi Raikkonen fourth. Rubens Barrichello fifth.
Riccardo Sparrofico
Sixth. Seventh. Ralph Furman eighth.
Nicolas Menacion
Ninth. Massa 10th. Montoya 11th. David Coulthard 12th.
Scott Dixon.
13th. Villeneuve 14th. Mark Webber 15th. Tora Takagi 16th. Pedro de la Rosa 17th. Antonio Pizzonia 18th. Ralph Schumacher was consistently faster than his teammate. He starts 19th. Justin Wilson 20th. Nick Heidfeld 21st. T. Motlow 22nd. Button 23rd. 24th.
And with D'Amata and Trellier on the back row of the grid, it is time to go racing here for the penultimate round of the 2004 season as the drivers await the lights. And the lights are green. There's racing to be seen. It seems like a fairly good start for Jarno Trulli versus Fernando Alonso as they all barrel in towards the first corner. And it's Jarno Trulli's going to take the lead in towards the first corner. Alonso, though, looking up the inside in towards turn 2, cannot quite make the move. So Trulli takes the lead ahead of Alonso, Schumacher, Barrichello, Raikkonen, Barrichello, Sparrofico, Furman and Bouillon, as there has been an incident towards the back of the field. Benoit Trellier and Nick Heidfeld have run into problems, and Heidfeld may already look to be out of this Grand Prix. At the front, though, it's Trulli leading Alonso, but maybe for not much longer. The Renault is looking very strong to potentially try and get his way through into the lead of this Grand Prix. Up the inside in towards Degner 2, not quite able to find his way through.
Benoit Trollier once again ruining somebody's race. But maybe offset potential bias or the potential bias of Rose Motorsport on keeping him on for 2005. Quite a clumsy move.
Very clumsy move there. And Benoit Trellier will have to fetch that one back to the pits. Nick Heidfeld, though, will be the first retirement of this Grand Prix. And Nils already has had his interest knocked down by about 50 billion%. As there is moves being made in towards the hairpin. At the front of the field, though, it's still Trulli that's leading ahead of Alonso, Schumacher, Raikkonen, Barrichello and Sparrofico completing the top 6.
Oh. It'll be interesting to see if Alonso can keep up with Trulli in the early stages, as Michael and Raikkonen have been dropped already by the pair. Especially, Massa round through 130R.
Oh, that's a big
Massive
crash!
incident!
Oh, Scott Dixon's
Oh,
off!
God.
Manassian's off! Massa's off! Huge crash there! As
This
there's
might be a red flag.
many a driver off! Many drivers off at 130R! A huge shunt involving several drivers!
Already in the pit.
Dear me, let's
Massa
go.
lost the car through 130R. That I saw in the background, and I feel like he overcorrected it and rejoined the circuit in the path of Manassian and kickstarting this whole kerfuffle.
So, we'll stay on board then with Felipe Massa. We might have a red flag for that one, because that was a humongous crash into 130R. So here's Massa on the back of Jean-Christophe Bouillon. Yep, just drops it big time. Bang! Into the front of Manassian. And Manassian's also collected big time there by Scott Dixon. Oh dear me.
This might be out for the final race. That was a hefty incident.
Look on board here.
Unsighted.
Yeah, there's nothing that Manassian could have done there. Absolutely nothing. And then bang! Into the side of him. On board with Scott Dixon as well, we'll get that one. Yeah, Manassian unable to brake because he's not got the front wheel, has he? And it's just unfortunate passenger there for Scott Dixon. Straight into the tyre barrier and the scene of the accident. That's 3 cars out of this race. And there is going to be a red flag put up for that crash. A huge shunt here at the opening lap of the Japanese Grand Prix. And, yeah, that means that we are going to have... actually, because... No, it started the second lap already, so Heidfeld is also going to be out of this race, I believe.
You could get a rear wing fix, because...
Yeah, actually, yeah, he would get a rear wing fix, wouldn't he, in a red flag. So, we're going to be back again in a couple minutes as I reset the grid here. We will have Manassian, Dixon and Massa all out. Heidfeld will stay in, and it'll be the order that we currently have on screen as the order that we have going into the second start. So, we'll be right back in a couple minutes, and we'll be back from this red flag. Okie dokie. We are here. There's no red flag anymore. For the restart. 51 laps this time round.
Yeah, also addressing what I just typed in chat. If the next person that says something about a driver dying from a crash in this career mode will get a week timeout, because it has taken quite a massive increase over the last races because of hefty crashes. And quite frankly, that's a minor injury for either driver in this incident at most.
Yeah, you know, these cars are pretty safe, aren't they? So a crash like that is not going to be too life-threatening towards either driver. But for the second time today, we have got the Japanese Grand Prix. The red flag has seen Nicolas Minassian, Felipe Massa, and Scott Dixon all out of the race. Nick Heidfeld is in, even though he lost his rear wing. He is able to repair it with the pit crew. Without further ado then, let's get this restart underway.
To Japan. The weather, as so often is the case here, is just wonderful. Trulli first. Alonso second. Michael Schumacher third. Raikkonen fourth. Barrichello fifth. Ralph Furman sixth.
Riccardo Sperafico.
Seventh. Eighth. Montoya ninth. David Coulthard 10th. Jack Villeneuve 11th. Tora Takagi 12th. Justin Wilson 13th. De La Rosa 14th. Ralph Schumacher was consistently faster than his teammate. He starts 15th. Antonio Pizzonia 16th. T. Motlo 17th. Jenson Button 18th. Cristiano D'Amata 19th. Weber 20th. 21st. Nick Heidfeld 22nd.
Benoit Trellier.
23rd.
23 drivers left on the grid then to start the restart of the 2003 Japanese Grand Prix. As once again, there are the red lights at the top of the screen. The lights are green and there's racing to be seen. I think there was potentially a staller at the back as we go down towards the first corner. I think it's Justin Wilson. Yeah, Justin Wilson's had a clutch malfunction. He's out the race, but Jarno Trulli still leads after the second restart. Here in Suzuka, Alonso is in second, Michael Schumacher in third, followed by Raikkonen, Barrichello, Furman, Sperafico and Bouli on the top 8 as they were on the restart.
Wilson not impressed with his clutch, but him not getting the chance and would potentially be quite an interesting race now, considering we have lost 3 drivers already. The top 8, as you said, already unchanged, but Alonso is looking to put more pressure on Trulli on the second start. He had no incidents as it currently stands this time round.
Yeah, everyone being quite cautious on the restart as they head now towards the spoon curve for the first time. De La Rosa, though, has overtaken Jack Villeneuve on the exit of the hairpin, so now he is up into 11th position.
Hopefully the Red Bull of Mark Webber is more planted, maybe having made some precautionary changes to the rear of the car after the heavy incident with Felipe Massa. We know that the Red Bull has a tendency to spin under high downforce dependent corners. Once again looking for a move down the inside, and Webber keeps it on the road.
Villeneuve back up the inside of Pedro de la Rosa, so he has once again retained his 11th position in this race as he now goes and charges on to try and get past David Coulthard for the top 10 positions. But de la Rosa with that much faster straight line speed compared to Villeneuve, unable though to make his way through back up into the top 10. So as it currently stands, Trulli leads, but he's holding up Fernando Alonso and Michael Schumacher. as Benoit Trellier's off. I think Mark Webber's also been involved, but Benoit Trellier has lost his rear wing there, and both Rose Toyota cars are now out of this Grand Prix. Quite a shame, as the financial troubles have really hit them hard, and as such, a result like this is not going to do anything for the team morale. So 2 of the Rose Toyota drivers out in the first 2 laps. Let's see what happened then. I think it was involving Mark Webber. Completely overestimated there from Mark Webber. And he's not going to do himself any favours if he wants to keep himself on the grid for 2005. He's now going to fall to the back of the grid. And the Rose Toyota of Benoit Trellier, just like his teammate a lap ago, is going to be out of this race. And Webber is also going to incur a 10-second time penalty for his troubles with that one as well. No real overtakes happening as of right now, although Jarno Trulli really not pulling away from Fernando Alonso as he would have liked to have done. Fernando Alonso, of course, would like to take the lead and potentially run away with this so he can extend his gap as much as he can ahead of the 2 McLarens, but the Spaniard is having a real hard time getting past the Ferrari of Jarno Trulli. The best braking opportunity is into the Casio triangle off the exit of 130R as Michael Schumacher has tried it. Yes, indeed. He's not able to find his way through, though, as Bouillon attacking Riccardo Sperrifico there. Sperrifico just about holding on versus the Renault.
Oh, Bouillon once again maybe down the inside here with more downforce compared to the Toyota, but not close enough to make the dive down the inside. That is going to be Benoit Trollier set to retire. And we are down to 21 runners with both Rose Motorsport cars already out. Sperrifico currently struggling, as it seems.
As is Jarno Trulli. He's got Fernando Alonso all over the back of him. He's trying everywhere to try and get through, including into the first Degner. Surely not for Fernando Alonso. He has not been able to make that move, but I feel like sooner rather than later, Alonso has just got to make that one lunge, not quite, to take the lead of this race, as Trellier is now out of this Grand Prix, so no Rose Toyota will complete this Grand Prix.
But the story of the first start, also Bouillon now past Sperrifico, is that
De La Rosa's off. Meanwhile, he's lost his front wing as well.
Oh, that's not the racing line, my friend.
It's certainly not the driver who has scored points in each of the previous 3 rounds. As
Takagi was involved.
I think, yeah, Takagi was involved down at the hairpin with Pedro De La Rosa. As such, De La Rosa's going to be out of this race. Let's see what happened then with the Spaniard. Oh, no, he's not going to be out, sorry. But he's going to be at the back of the field, yeah.
Probably down the inside and just over opportunistic. Yes, he was. Spins the Spaniard round and leaves the Spaniard trying to rejoin the line and hitting the wall on his way back onto the circuit.
So that's going to be a 5-second time penalty for Teranosuke Takagi for causing that collision with Pedro De La Rosa. Here we have...
Furman is out.
There he is at the chicane.
Oh, in the middle of the chicane. Not the best spot to park the car.
And he was running quite highly there in the top 6. And the cheese suspension strikes again. And once again, Ralph Furman cannot catch a break. And the Dams crew will now... Actually, no. Sorry, of course, Manassian's out the race as well. So both Dams are out of this Grand Prix. So we're now down to 20 runners in this Grand Prix as Pedro De La Rosa makes his way into the pits for an unscheduled stop.
And we have lost another 3 drivers already in this race as Furman now joins Benoit Trellier and Justin Wilson. And as I was saying, Furman looked good on pace, threatening Raikkonen, actually going for a move collision there. Maybe that caused the suspension failure.
Potentially there for the Irishman, but either way, he's out of this Grand Prix, and both of the dams are out within the first 10 laps of this one, as here is Fernando Alonso, still unable to get past Jarno Trulli in that Ferrari. Michael Schumacher also not really going for any overestimated dive bombs. He realises that Kimi Raikkonen, his main championship rival's behind him, and as it currently stands, he would extend his championship lead to 6 points into the to 1 point. Sorry, I don't know what I'm thinking. Ahead of his teammate Kimi Raikkonen. I'm thinking that Raikkonen's 5 points behind Michael Schumacher. He is not. Alonso is
getting feisty, but the Ferrari has more top end speed compared to the Renault. Have more planted than the Red Bull, obviously, but if he doesn't get the move on, this man right here might take the position off him. But I feel like Michael also is driving more for the championship rather than the race victory. He knows what it takes to win championship. Obviously, 5-time world champion. Same numbers as Juan Manuel Fangio. Man, he is looking to beat his record off.
As David Coulthard there, overtaken by Jacques Villeneuve. He's now just one position away from the points, and his teammate is holding that 8th position right now. Jean-Christophe Bouillon, though, kind of holding a couple drivers back after getting past Berefico. He's unable to really kick on, and as such, he's dropped about 4 or so seconds to Rubens Barrichello in front. Damn's more like damned, but
Alonso once again looking for a move, bit over opportunistic over the curb, could potentially set him up for a move behind for Michael. Alonso's not close enough to make a move at any point through this, well, probably best overtaking spot for him, being this hairpin, because you don't arrive with a much top speed, but the braking zone is quite heavy, so could outbrake the driver as Villeneuve looks for a move around the outside on his teammates.
very ambitious there from the Canadian, as he really wants to show to Williams that he is a potential candidate if Wirtz cannot be in that car alongside Jenson Button. Jacques Villeneuve, of course, without a confirmed seat for 2005. And as of right now, he has only scored 4 points for the Williams team since his tenure started. Oh, Alonso still holding him off through that final chicane. He's getting ever closer, though, to making his way up into second position in this race. Alonso needs to get this move done on Jarno Trulli if he wants to hold off Michael Schumacher in both the race and in the championship.
The fastest lap of the race. Mark Webber has lost his front wing.
Or Webber's round.
And he's lost a front wing in this race. It's really fallen apart for the Red Bull team in this weekend. They've been in strong form as of late.
Running 17.
And he is out of this Grand Prix.
You're running 18.
As I think Heidfeld has just overtaken not one, but two Jaguars down the main straight. So we'll also take a quick look at that. Don't mind that. That is just because he's in the pits. He'll sort himself out later on in the race. Yeah, very similar incident.
Yeah, this time nobody's around. He crashed on his own. Quite lucky that it's not a race incident.
And here's the move then that got Heidfeld not one but two positions down this main straight. Just better straight line speed in the Mercedes powered car versus the Cosworth. And that is Heidfeld now up into 15th place without a rear wing on the first lap, saved by the red flag. And now he is making moves up into the midfield. That's just a bug with the minimap for some reason, Galactic Stag. There's no one stopped on any of the parts of the track. It's just a bug with the minimap for whatever reason. But the people who are moving are still in this race. Let's all laugh at Jaguar. Here is Fernando Alonso, still unable to get through as Michael Schumacher. That's the best lunge that he's had all race so far on Fernando Alonso. Still unable to find his way through, though. The Spaniard, just with the better exit out of the chicane, is just able to just about hold the McLaren Mercedes off as they head into the next lap. Schumacher with the fastest lap of the race at 39.8.
Renault clearly better planted out of the corners. Especially probably down to the chassis and the overall car package, with the Renault engine obviously not having that much power for spinning the wheels. But lower down the RPM levels probably has the upper hand over the Mercedes.
As Alonso's very close there to making a move. Very close indeed to also making contact there with Jarno Trulli. Probably not where he wants to be going for a move, but he realises that Jarno Trulli is indeed weak through that part of the lap. And if he makes him scared with Alonso in the mirrors, then it certainly could be to his advantage later on in this Grand Prix.
Alonso probably got the memo from Michael now to finally get a move on the Italian. Tries to oblige, but as already stated, the Ferrari is just too quick in the sections where Alonso could go for a move, and too slow in the sections where the Renault is faster.
Yeah, Alonso looking really close again to potentially making a move into 130R. Still not close enough, though. It seems that the Ferrari just about has the legs in the straight line. Schumacher again looking for a move, not quite as close as he was on the previous lap, but Alonso really just needs to have a mistake.
Run wide back.
Yeah, I was about to say he needs a mistake from Jarno Trulli, but it ended up being a mistake from Alonso. I say that, he set the fastest lap of the race, so maybe he's found some extra grip out the last corner that we don't know about, but Alonso with the fastest lap, still stuck behind Jarno Trulli though, the top three in a stalwart as it currently stands, but they're still all pulling away from Kimi Raikkonen in 4th position, Rubens Barrichello in 5th, followed by Bouillon, who's ahead of Sparaffico, Montoya completing the points, Villeneuve, Coulthard, Takagi has got Antonio Pizzonia directly in his mirrors, as there's Heidfeld potentially going for a move on his fellow compatriot Ralf Schumacher for 14th position, unable to find his way through. He is indeed.
Maybe this time around into the hairpin. No, never mind. Michael goes for the move, spins the Spaniard nearly around, but the Spaniard keeps it on the tarmac. But that could upset the running order now, with Alonso losing a lot of time and not getting the slipstream off the Ferrari in front. Maybe Michael this time around can make the move stick then.
Yeah, Michael Schumacher is really putting Alonso under pressure here. 14 seasons of experience behind the wheel of that McLaren, and he's really giving it 10 tenths to try and get past Fernando Alonso. And De Mata's off. Sarto's off as well. Oh, it looks like a crash between Sarto and De Mata. Both cars out of the race. And the Jaguar and the Honda, at his home Grand Prix no less as well, out of this Grand Prix. So let's see what happened then. Oh, it looks like a brake failure there. Button's very lucky as well in that crash to avoid losing any part of his car. As we'll also get a replay on board with the Briton.
Quite similar to the accident of, I think, Massa and Friesaka last season.
Yep. They had a similar sort of incident.
Same place, but another 2 drivers not finishing this race. We have lost 5 drivers in the first 9 laps of this restarted race already.
Very chaotic start indeed, as Alonso will try and close in this gap once again, but still has Michael Schumacher well and truly in his mirrors. Not many moves happening on track right now, but a lot of incidents up and down the field. We've seen 8 drivers so far retire from this Grand Prix, 2 more with incidents with De La Rosa and Webber. But who knows? All these incidents could unfold into a potential crazy point scorer by the end of this Grand Prix. But we've still got over 40 laps to go in this one, and Trulli still leads at the front of the field. Let's have a look then at who has gained and lost the most positions off this restart. Biggest gainers, Nick Heidfeld. Nick Heidfeld 7 places up on his starting position from 22nd on the grid. As De La Rosa now finally makes his way past D'Amata. Villeneuve, Bouillon have also made positive starts, as has the other Brabham of Antonio Pizzonia and the Opel of Timo Glock. So quite interesting to see those guys towards the back of the field really making up places on one another, at least. Of course, also benefiting from retirements in this race. Raikkonen, though, kind of in a no man's land, as he's not really got the pace to really match it with the top 3. He's 5 seconds off his teammate after the first 9 laps, so about half a second a lap slower, as Schumacher now sets the fastest lap of a 1:39.1.
Could be that the top 3 are lighter on fuel than Raikkonen. Raikkonen usually is one driver that is quite heavy in his first stint. Also could help McLaren to separate both drivers in this race to give them maximum advantage over Renault, who have only one driver in this race, essentially, for the race lead.
Yeah, Bouillon kind of nowhere in terms of pace, at least at the start of this Grand Prix, as is holding up Sperrifico, Montoya and Villeneuve as of right now. Coulthard kind of not sticking with that group. Takagi in the same situation with Pizzonia, Glock, Ralf Schumacher and Heidfeld. So a lot of struggles to actually overtake around this circuit, as the first of the lap traffic is soon to be on the leader's radar. Alonso then, close, but it's not going to be close enough. He needs to be in the slipstream and get a brilliant launch out of 130R. Look, he loses time from that sharp turning angle. It actually puts him really under pressure from Michael Schumacher behind, as Heidfeld has now overtaken Ralf Schumacher down at the hairpin. So Heidfeld is now up into 14th position in this race. I reckon Bouillon in a couple laps would be behind by a whole pit stop, but as it currently stands, I think he would rejoin a couple of seconds in front. That may not be helped with Pedro de la Rosa there, as Jarno Trulli makes his way through. Alonso, though, not as lucky to get past his compatriot there in the Opel.
Michael maybe take the advantage now, with Alonso being quite hesitant behind de la Rosa.
Schumacher straight through, though. He's on it. He's completely on it. He's looking to possibly pounce in towards the hairpin here, towards the inside. Michael would have to go. He is going to look for it, but it's a little too late there from the German, and as such, he'll stay behind. Alonso still in second, but he's dropped a couple of seconds now to Jarno Trulli in front. I imagine, though, that gap would eventually close between the front two.
But going back on the topic of Bouillon nearly being a pit stop behind, you lose around like 26 seconds, 25, 26 seconds here in this pit lane, because it's quite a long one, and you have around 80 kph as a speed limit here. So expect Bouillon, if he's in 23 seconds where he's currently at, still to be ahead of Jarno Trulli after his pit stop, but Trulli is definitely opening the gap to the second Renault.
Could potentially be a strategy for Alonso to stop earlier on in this race and make a 3-stop work by the Renault team. But Jarno Trulli could potentially, I saw auto experts say it, could potentially be on a heavier fuel load compared to Alonso and Schumacher. That could be for his struggling pace, and it could also be crucial if he does keep them behind for the whole of this first stint, if he can then run off on the lighter fuel once these two have boxed behind him.
Michael maybe this time round could go for the move into the hairpin.
Spirifico looking mightily impatient in trying to get past Jean-Christophe Bouillon here for 6th position in this race. The Renault driver really doing all that he can to stay in that 6th position, but he does have Juan Pablo Montoya and Jacques Villeneuve also directly behind him. Coulthard just over a second behind as well, and I'm sure that this is all going to converge into one before this first stint is over, at least, as Coulthard really keeping up with these guys. Further back, Timo Glock trying to find a way through on Antonio Pizzonia. Oh, Pizzonia, sorry, holds that one off though, holding the defensive line, and will keep Timo Glock behind for now. Yeah, nothing much has really happened. We've had Heidfeld get past Ralf Schumacher, but other than that, it's been fairly minimal. Schumacher again with the fastest lap of the race. Sperifico looking for a move up the inside of Bouillon. He's just not brave enough on the brakes to really make that move, as it seems like we're on course for a race rather that's going to be decided on track. Probably one that's going to be decided through the pit lane and the pit strategies. Either way, though, for Sperifico, he's still trying to find his way through on Jean-Christophe Bouillon, but no use for him as of right now. The top three, though, separated by 0.4 of a second, as Alonso still is stuck behind Jarno Trulli, heading in towards the hairpin once more. Alonso a bit later on the brakes compared to Trulli, but still not close enough to making that sort of a move. That's perfectly fine, Leo. Oh, Jensen Button's off. Down. Oh no, he's just been overtaken by Mark Webber, who still hasn't grown any wheels on his car. So, quite interesting there from the Red Bull crew. Granted, the car will be quite a bit lighter, but I imagine it'll be scraping quite a bit on the bottom, on the bottom of that car. What's that game called? Wipeout. He's got a Wipeout car right now. He's got the F197 cheat codes right now.
Glock still unable to get past Pizzonia, who's been known for his trains behind him.
His dark arts, one could say. Alonso now with the fastest lap of the race. No worries, Derby Saw. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Alonso, though, is just really struggling to get through on Jarno Trulli. We kind of expected to possibly have some more moves in towards the Casio triangle, in towards the hairpin as well, but no one's really close enough. It seems that they all want to go for a move into the first Degner, which is certainly not where you want to be overtaking people. Still Alonso stuck behind him, as seems like this is probably going to be the same until the first pit stops unveil themselves. Speaking of pit stops, we'll be sure to see them soon, as speaking of, Mark Webber is supposedly going to be into the box shortly. He's already been into the pits though once in this race, so quite interesting to see how he is going to be into the stop again. Ralf Schumacher as well is going to be into the stop as well. So right as I said that oh, that's an incident. That's Timo Glock clipping the back of
losing two
Pizzonia
positions because of this mistake.
And we kind of expected Alonso to probably be the first one to do that, considering how many times he's been up the inside of Jarno Trulli, but that was Timo Glock clipping the inside of Antonio Pizzoni, and as such, paying the price, losing a couple of positions. Luckily, though, he's lost nothing on his car. He's down to 15th position. Pedro de la Rosa was involved in an incident with Teranosuke Takagi, where Takagi spun him around at the hairpin, and whilst rejoining, he lost his front wing, Pedro de la Rosa. So that's why he is that far behind, and probably will not be on course to increase his streak of point-scoring finishes past 3 at this Grand Prix. Championship standings as it currently stands, though, Michael Schumacher would be extending his lead to a single point ahead of Kimi Raikkonen. Schumacher 81, Raikkonen 80, and Alonso would be up to 78. So the top three would be separated by just 3 points going into the final round, which it could not get closer in terms of the championship picture as it currently stands, unless Alonso can win this race ahead of Jarno Trulli, by which point the three would be all separated by a singular point.
Alonso maybe this time better exit for him, but once again he pulls out of the slipstream way too early in this run to 130R. Therefore has no chance of making a move potentially through 130R, as Ralf Schumacher now has gotten past Nick Heidfeld for 13th.
I think it's a very opportunistic move, as Ralf Schumacher is, as well as Nick Heidfeld, stuck behind Heidfeld's teammate Antonio Pizzonia, who is really starting to lose pace with Taranasuke Takagi in front. We'll get a replay of that, actually. Oh! And that's a crash! There's another big crash! Montoya's off!
Montoya's out, oh god, another hefty incident.
On the run to 130R, Sperrifico and Montoya have clashed horns with one another. Sperrifico having an engine failure, and Montoya being also involved in that incident. And the two of them are out of this Grand Prix. I think we're going to have some pit stops soon, so I'll let those play out first before we see that crash. I'll let Ralf Schumacher get into the pits.
Yeah.
I think it's going in. Yeah.
You can do it now. Coulthard is out!
Coulthard's out as well, so both BAR's out the Grand Prix.
You can have a replay now. Sperrifico.
That's why I have a minute-long replay, because I could wait a while. So let's see what happened then. On board with Juan Pablo Montoya.
Right. Probably just on side.
Yeah, it's just unable to see. Yeah, into the
wall.
wall.
Never mind. Sperrifico actually pulls across on the Colombian.
But we probably couldn't have seen because of the black smoke coming out the back of that Toyota. And that is going to be Sperrifico out of this Grand Prix. A massive shame there for Toyota, as they were looking to potentially score points at their home Grand Prix. As Ralf Schumacher makes his way into the stop. As well, David Coulthard is out of this Grand Prix, so another retirement from this race. We're going to have barely anyone left at this rate. We've still got over 35 laps to go. And, yeah, big crash.
Takagi now elevated into the points. Whoever said he potentially scores a point might be onto something. As I expect one of the front runners to pit soon. At least I feel like Alonso or Michael are on the 2-stop. Cypher now got past his teammate for 9th. Finally somebody gotten past Pizzonia.
Oh my.
Absolute fucking knobhead.
And Glock's lost his front wing from all that as well. Oh dear, Antonio. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. That's
fucking
another front wing. That's another front wing lost for Opel as well. As there, Jensen Button is actually going to be up into the top 10 now following that. And Pizzonia is also going to get a 5-second time penalty for colliding with his teammate, not for the first time this season as well. If you remember back to the Australian Grand Prix, Pizzonia just completely wiped out Nick Heidfeld on the first lap of the Grand Prix, and ever since then, Nils has wanted him gone, as that's Michael Schumacher around the outside of the hairpin, and that's second position gained for the German. So, Alonso now down to third position. That had to happen. I'm not sure if it had to happen. You had to get past Jarno Trulli more than anything, and now Alonso
made a mistake to allow this. Because Alonso wasn't that close, Michael wasn't that close to make a move around the outside, especially. So Alonso was trying to get the move on Trulli. Trulli still struggling compared to the drivers behind. Maybe Alonso to over opportunistic through Dagna, allowing Michael to get even closer.
See what happened. No, it's just Schumacher kind of tipping Alonso around.
There we go.
I don't know what the stewards are going to think about that move from Michael Schumacher, but that could land him in hot water in a couple laps' time when the stewards have come to their decision on that one. Alonso, unfairly, I would say, pushed out the way by Michael Schumacher to gain that position.
Could be championship implications if Michael gets a penalty off that move.
Alonso still wants to try and get back past Michael Schumacher.
But not close enough for making the move. Actually, never mind, he's still looking for a move, but Michael has that one covered.
And Michael Schumacher has been given a 5-second time penalty for that collision with Fernando Alonso, which could prove to be crucial in the championship race, as if he, of course, could probably get past Jarno Trulli, more likely to do so considering he's been the aggressor out of the three of them. If he doesn't win by 5 seconds, then he would have it taken off him, or even lose a position if he weren't to even win this Grand Prix. So championship implications are at play with that penalty for Michael Schumacher in this Grand Prix.
But now Michael is stuck behind Jarno Trulli and Timo Glock. Glock could potentially challenge this or upset this championship fight right here, as Bullion is next to stop from 6th position. Not a good showing when he's only 4 seconds ahead of Jacques Villeneuve. Would see him drop actually behind Torosuke Takagi.
I can just
It was
imagine...
quite a decent race.
Yeah, I just want to say, I could imagine your face right now is just completely red. There's steam coming out the ears and there's a train sound effect.
Yeah, I already consider something for next race. Heifeld now got past Button once again for 10th. As
Michael
Michael now down the
Schumacher.
inside on Trulli.
He's immediately gone for it on Jarno Trulli, going for moves that Fernando Alonso couldn't in that Renault, and Michael Schumacher looking prepped and raring to go to take this race lead away from the Ferrari of Jarno Trulli. He needs to get this lead now more than anything, as he does have that 5-second time penalty looming over his head. But he's unable to find a way through at the first corner. So Michael Schumacher up to 2nd place, but with it comes a 5-second time penalty, as that's Barrichello. There's smoke coming out the back of that Ferrari, and it's probably going to be another retirement from this Grand Prix. And we're going to be up to 12 retirements in this Grand Prix in the first 20 laps, which is absolutely unheard of in this modern day of Formula 1.
Oh no.
What? What's
He's
the matter?
getting into the points.
Oh yeah,
Oh
Pitsonia.
hell no.
Well, he's got a 5-second time penalty, so... So Bullion with a 9.5-second stop.
We'll see him just barely ahead of Torosuke Takagi, but Takagi is probably on a 1-stop.
Yeah, so these two are probably fighting with each other to the end of this Grand Prix, but Bullion, while having fresher tyres, is going to be on that heavier fuel load compared to the Japanese driver, and it could be interesting to see how this battle dynamic plays out for the rest of this Grand Prix, as Alonso is scheduled to box at the end of this lap.
Expected him to be the first one of the leaders. Diving into the pits, potentially with the undercut.
We were expecting, though, that Bullion would be the longer out of the two to stop.
Yeah,
but it certainly has not been the case. Alonso, though, into the box on the end of lap 19. Trulli sets the fastest lap of the race with a 1:38.4. He might be soon to box as well.
Heidfeld now pitting just as he approaches Pitsonia out of fear, potentially.
An 8.8-second stop there for the Spaniard is going to see him rejoin ahead of Barrichello, who I imagine will retire fairly shortly.
But crucially, Raikkonen obviously ahead of Alonso, and I feel like Raikkonen is on a 1-stop here. So Raikkonen might be on for a race victory if he goes long enough in this race as well. Anytime soon.
eventually.
We are getting there.
Already in the pit.
Damn, this engine's
Right,
lasting
fellas.
longer than his hopes of staying at Ferrari past 2005. So Brabham are ready in the pits for Nick Heidfeld. I'm going to go away in 3, 2, 1. He's going to blow up now. No, okay, never mind. Now, no. Now, no. Now.
No.
On the first stop of the race for Nick Heidfeld, 9 seconds for him. And the Brabham Mercedes will rejoin in 13th position. I think we'll just about get lapped by the two leaders. No, actually.
Oh, Michael actually has a move maybe on Trulli, but never mind, not close enough. Heidfeld could play a role though in this championship or this battle for the lead. Still technically under contract with Mercedes, and Barrichello lasted another lap.
It's gone like 2 laps now before. Well, we don't know how long it was. There we go. It's gone.
There we go. It finally
Barrichello's out
expires.
the Grand Prix and becomes the 12th retirement of the Japanese Grand Prix. Still 30 laps to go, and we're down to 14 runners in this race. And I think we're likely to see maybe some new point scorers in this Grand Prix. The only non-point scorer that we have seen that's currently still in this Grand Prix is actually Teranosuke Takagi, now that I mention it. Everyone else who's currently still in the race has scored points this season.
Michael lost a lot of time to Raikkonen behind because of the lap traffic of Nick Heidfeld. Same to Jarno Trulli. But all that's doing currently is also helping Bullion and Takagi move up further in this race. Especially with Takagi probably on a one-stop. Could have a real good home Grand Prix in this one. Everything holds up till the end.
Points
Obviously,
are definitely
have
on the
lost
cards.
Fico.
Points are definitely on the cards then for Teranosuke Takagi for what would be the first time actually in his Formula 1 career that he would score points, as he's only had a pointless season with Tyrrell, a pointless season with Rose Toyota last season, and obviously he's only done 1 race so far with Toyota, in which that resulted in retirement. So it would be his first points of his Formula 1 career on top of all of that. So lap 24 of this 53 lap race, and Jarno Trulli leads the way by just under a second ahead of Michael Schumacher. Kimi Raikkonen runs in 3rd position. The top 3 are yet to stop in this Grand Prix. Alonso, who has stopped, is in 4th, followed by Villeneuve in the Williams, Bullion and Takagi, who are pretty much neck and neck with each other for 6th and 7th positions respectively. Pitsonia has a 5-second time penalty, as does Michael Schumacher. He's running in 8th position, just ahead of Jenson Button, who would assume that position if it stayed as it was. Ralf Schumacher is in 10th, followed by Webber, Heidfeld, Glock and De La Rosa. The last of those 3 are a lap down in this race. Barrichello retired with engine trouble, Coulthard with a suspension problem, and then a big shunt between Montoya and Sperrifico following the Toyota's engine expiry, as McLaren are ready into the pits for Michael Schumacher on the end of this lap.
As it currently stands, I wanted to say is that Michael would be on 83 points compared to Raikkonen's 81 and Alonso's 75, but with Michael pitting, that essentially gets blown out of the window.
With Michael Schumacher potentially being held up by Jarno Trulli, this could prove crucial if Alonso could potentially undercut Michael Schumacher in this race, as Button has gotten past Antonio Pitsonia. Down the main straight, only now for Fernando Alonso, actually. Yeah.
7-second stop.
I heard an engine, it was
9.8
actually
for
Timo
Renault.
Glock. Yeah, so Alonso's lost a heap of time in that undercut, and as such, he's now down to 4th position and 6 seconds off the German 5-time world champion. No worries, Leo.
But could be interesting to see, because Michael had a 7-second stop, Alonso an 8.8 second stop. Alonso is fueled heavier compared to Michael in the second stint. So Michael maybe trying to get the upper hand on Trulli in the second stint. McLaren maybe changing the strategy for the five-time world champion to elevate him up the order.
Further back, we've still got the battle between Takagi and Bouillon as the two make their way down this main straight. The Toyota just about with a straight line speed advantage, but not enough to challenge the Frenchman in towards the first corner to start lap 23.
Awful Ferrari reliability for Rubens. No, Rubens is just shit. If somebody had reliability problems, it's Trulli.
It's Pitsonia there, overtaking Jenson Button down the main straight, so he reassumes his position back inside the top 8. Mark Webber has actually made his way towards the top 8 in this race, which is quite surprising.
He's definitely on a free stop. No, he just stopped twice. Once after his crash and one time afterwards, right? Like 2 laps later. So
he's really got some good pace in this Grand Prix then, has Mark Webber. He does have a 10-second time penalty, though, for that collision with Benoit Trellier earlier on in the race.
Button maybe move, never mind. Ralph actually on the prow, around the outside. Does not get the run that he needs.
Jenson Button holding off Ralf Schumacher right now. As,
and once again, just like in Hungary, Dark Lord rises essentially as Pitsonia has another train right behind him. And Trulli's actually catching this train as well.
Takagi looking for a move up the inside of Jean-Christophe Bouillon. There's contact between the two. Takagi shoved onto the curb there by Jean-Christophe, but he keeps the position, the Renault driver. Maybe down this main straight he could gather a little bit of slipstream and look for a move in towards the first corner. He's going to get kind of close in towards the first bend, but he's not going to be close enough again. So he's unable to find his way through. Trulli still leading at the front at the halfway stage of this Grand Prix. Raikkonen is in second, but he is yet to stop in this race. Schumacher has stopped and has rejoined in third position ahead of Fernando Alonso. Trulli still putting in fastest laps of the race. He's nearly into the 1 minute 37s now, as he's just set a 1:38.052.
As it currently stands, he's still dropping behind Michael Schumacher after his pit stop. But ahead of Fernando Alonso, which is more crucial actually, considering the Spaniard had the upper hand in the first stint compared to Leandro Trulli in terms of pace. But in the meantime can't get away from Takagi. Obviously Takagi probably on a lighter fuel load than the Frenchman. But you would think that Bouillon has the faster car and probably also is more in race condition compared to the Japanese driver.
But Ranasuke Takagi is going to get close, but not close enough still. And Bouillon stays ahead, so it seems like it's a bit of a stalemate between these two, as Villeneuve is scheduled to box pretty shortly. He should rejoin pretty comfortably, though, in 5th position, as he is over 30 seconds ahead of Jean-Christophe Bouillon in the position behind.
Raikkonen not matching Trulli's pace, even with Trulli now stuck behind this Pitsonia train, but disposing of the cars quite quickly. Mark Webber and Ralph only in like 2 corners.
And Mark Webber, as such, might get a run on Ralf Schumacher in towards the first corner. He does, and takes that position. That's 10th place now for the Australian.
But now the tricky part, getting past the lap traffic through the S's. Not an easy task.
This is going to benefit Raikkonen massively as well. But he does get through on Jenson Button, or does he? The Jaguar kind of fending him off a little bit.
Get past Bouillon.
Oh, where is he? Oh, Takagi past where is he? There he is. He's past Bouillon. I assume down at the hairpin, potentially. I think the Williams of Villeneuve is in. I'll wait for him to enter the pits. There we go.
There he is.
Let's see this move then from Teranosuke Takagi. He could be on course for his first points of his Formula 1 career at his home Grand Prix. And he's pushed.
Oh,
He's pushed him out the way. Oh dear.
that's probably also a 5-second time penalty coming the Japanese driver's way.
I thought we were going to see a generational overtake through Degnut. No, he's just shoving him out the way. Brilliant. So that's another 5-second time penalty for Teranosuke Takagi, summing a total of 10 seconds for collisions with De La Rosa and Bouillon.
Could see him potentially drop behind Pitsonia after making his pit stop. Villeneuve is probably fueled till the end after this pit stop, 10.6 seconds.
As Webber has now overtaken Jensen Button on the run into 130R as well. We haven't actually seen any moves being made at all down that part of the track, but Webber seems to be carving through this lower midfield pretty nicely, as now Antonio Pitsonia is in his sights for 8th position. Both of these drivers have a penalty, but Webber's more severe than the Brazilians. He's got a better straight line speed than the Brabham, but not so he can find his way through in towards the first couple of corners. Webber stuck behind Pitsonia at least for another couple of laps. How to overtake a Renault. Number 1, bump and run.
Bump and run.
Number 2, wait for the engine to blow up.
It's now Webber stuck behind Pitsonia. Not an easy task to get past the Brazilian and stay in front.
I keep thinking his car's crabbing, but his rear wing's bent as round.
Oh dear.
Oh dear. Webber's done the same thing as Teranosuke Takagi did, and as such, he's probably going to be picking up a penalty for that as well. Webber with a 5-second time penalty, summing 15 seconds now for the Australian. One does not simply pass the Dark Lord. No, you've got to be an even darker Lord and take him out.
Bump and pass on Pitsonia's the only way through. It's now Raikkonen is stuck behind this lap traffic.
Gap between the front two is just over 10 seconds. It was 13 before Chorley met this traffic, and now Ralf Schumacher could potentially actually have a run on Jensen Button, not quite making his way through, but oh, he's got to lift off now for Raikkonen. Oh, he's going up the inside.
Raikkonen goes for the move.
Raikkonen kind of didn't expect Ralf Schumacher to be going for a move after lifting off to let him through. As Raikkonen
Ralph's still
finally
not going.
There we go.
Ralph's still not letting off the power there.
Webber scheduled to box again.
So he will drop probably behind Nick Heidfeld and maybe even Timo Glock again.
So let's get a penalty recap of what we've had so far. So Mark Webber has a 10-second time penalty for a collision with Benoit Charlier, and a further 5 seconds for one with Pitsonia. Teranosuke Takagi has a 5-second time penalty for a collision with Pedro de la Rosa, and a further 5 seconds for a collision with Bouillon. Antonio Pitsonia has a 5-second time penalty for a collision with Nick Heidfeld. Michael Schumacher has a 5-second time penalty for a collision with Fernando Alonso.
In the meantime, Michael has closed the gap to Raikkonen to nearly 4 seconds because of the lap traffic. Michael now having to maneuver this one as well.
Since
yeah,
sorry, go on.
Since after the leaders have lapped up to 8th already in this race.
And since the both of Michael Schumacher and Fernando Alonso have both into the box, Michael Schumacher, you can see it there, has been absolutely running off into the distance from Fernando Alonso. As Red Bull are ready into the box, that'll be for Mark Webber, as Trulli sets the fastest lap of the race, a 37.7. We'll see if Michael Schumacher can potentially match that. Welcome in,
Also
Captain Rage. Yeah, you've missed quite a chaotic start. It's died down fairly quickly though in this race.
You missed both starts essentially.
Yeah, we've had a red flag in this race for a lap 1 crash that we had, as that looked like smoke from someone. Potentially. I'm not entirely sure, but
Maybe.
is it smoke from
I-
you? No. It looked pretty weird. I don't know. So yeah. We're back in Austria with all these penalties.
Yeah.
It seems so, yeah.
Michael now lapping his brother, who is set to pit at the end of this lap.
And Button as
getting
well into
past
the first
Button.
Egner. The German can't quite find his way through on the Jaguar
Good.
though. Yeah, so
But now
recap. You can go and watch these as well if you look back as well. First lap, Massa dropped it at 130R and collected Manassian and Dixon. That caused a red flag. Wilson stalled at the start. Trollier got crashed out by Webber. Furman had a suspension failure. Sato crashed with D'Amata after having a brake failure. Sperifico engine failure and collected Montoya, so big crash on this straight on the run towards 130R. At the same time, we had Coulthard suspension failure and Barrichello, his engine expired. So 12 retirements so far. We've got 14 left. And yeah.
Truly has just put up the fastest lap.
probably another fastest lap, now putting the hammer down with him pitting soon. He could go till the end with pitting now, only like 22 laps to go for the Italians, so Trulli's probably set to win this one if nothing happens.
Ralph
Ralph
Schumacher
now
into the
bits.
box, and he's probably going to drop outside the top 10 once Nick Heidfeld makes his way down the main straight, who's just in front of Fernando Alonso. What Mark Webber will also make his way through. Yeah, so it's been
Alonso
quite a chaotic first half, but at least on track in terms of battles, we've had almost nothing. In terms of that, as that's Heidfeld pushing Alonso wide through the first part of the Suzuka S's there.
Alonso struggling to get past the Brabham because of the top end speed in favor of the Brabham, and now Renault obviously faster through the corners, but Heidfeld not even letting off the throttle.
And
Now
finally,
he gets past,
there we go, through Degner
potentially.
too.
Yes.
Unless Heidfeld sends it back up the
Oh
inside.
god, he's going for it. Oh my god.
Oh
he's
my
actually
days, he
going for
actually has gone for it as well. What's he doing?
it.
What's he
He's getting the
doing?
move done!
As if! What? How's he got the move done? Oh my god, he's actually got the move done. What? What is happening?
Alonso's losing 5 seconds because of that. Now
This is
he
it. This is the
finally
greatest
is.
battle that we've seen all race, and it's not even for position.
Mercedes customer team doing Mercedes customer things as well. No, never mind. I could care less about Mercedes at this point because I'm leaving them.
That is
Implications.
Nick Heidfeld with the championship implications.
Oh god, yeah, that's definitely now Alonso out of the lead battle. Yeah, Heidfeld with the best overtake of the whole race. Yes.
So,
He went Hockenheim.
20 laps to go in this one. Trulli is still yet to box. Raikkonen is still yet to box. The two at the front are separated by 17.5 seconds, which is very nearly a pit stop gap. Oh, perfect timing. We've also not seen a pit stop yet from Teranosuke Takagi, Antonio Pitsonia, or Jenson Button in this race.
But this one will change with Button pitting soon. Currently stands, Raikkonen would take the championship lead again from his teammate.
He would indeed. Into the final race, it would be 1 round to go and 0 wins on the board for Kimi Raikkonen. It's still not boxing yet. A lot of drivers going along in this first part of the race. As Trulli again with another fastest lap. He's surely got to be boxing fairly shortly, as he's just set a 1:37 point. No, he's set something faster. He must have set a 37.3 or something like that. Yes, he did. Nothing really happening on in terms of on-track battles right now. But something that has arisen is that Teranosuke Takagi has pulled away from Jean-Christophe Bouillon in the intervening laps. Gap is now 8 seconds, so that now extends it past the 5-second penalty that he got for taking out Bouillon, or kind of spinning him around, but he's still got another 5-second time penalty in this race as well. So Bouillon would still be ahead of him as it currently stands. Button, though, would most certainly move up into the points for what would only be his second points finish of the season.
Button is pitting at the end of this lap, though.
Yes, he is, but I think him and Pitsonia are on the same strategy in this race, so it'll be up to Pitsonia to get that 10-second gap that he needs. No, 5-second gap, I should say, sorry. Tyrannosaurus Takagi, that's good.
Oh, De La Rosa in between Pitsonia and Button, but Pitsonia might be under threat there by the Opel. Never mind, the Opel not able to make the move stick out of the corner. Takagi now on the lap down as well.
Heidfeld, peaking under blue flag conditions, is holding off Mark Webber right now for that final place in the top 10.
Now, when will Trulli finally pit?
That's when Button will finally pit. He'll be into the box at the end of this lap, as De La Rosa has gone for a move on the Jaguar, even though he's a lap down. And into the pits for Jenson Button.
Desperately wanted to get the lap back on Button, but De La Rosa obviously 2 laps down in total. And as I think the Ferrari pit crew is ready in the pits.
As is the McLaren one, I think, further down the pit lane as well. So we could see Trulli and Raikkonen both into the box fairly shortly. And it'll be interesting to see if Trulli can rejoin ahead of Michael Schumacher. If he can, then he almost certainly would take this race victory, Jarno Trulli.
In the meantime, Ralf Schumacher has overtaken Button during the pit stops.
He has indeed, yeah.
So maybe Ralf Schumacher gets the final points paying position at Honda's home race, and there goes Trulli into the pits.
So Jarno Trulli into the box then at the end of lap 33. He's most definitely on a one-stop strategy. He's been setting fastest lap after fastest lap, and this should be a crucial stop to fetch him out ahead of Michael Schumacher. We still believe that the German has another stop to go in this race, as Raikkonen is also scheduled to stop at the end of this lap.
With the amount of retirements we have seen, De La Rosa could get points. No.
Well, you never know.
He needed to get his laps back and have 5 drivers retire in front of him.
And there's Schumacher making his way across the start-finish line now. Trulli already at turn 1 though, and he will retain his race lead by 1.6 seconds. So he lost about 22 seconds in the pit stop there, and he has rejoined in the lead with 18 laps to go. Raikkonen will do the same.
On Alonso.
He has indeed. So Raikkonen making the overcut work quite nicely there on what could be a 2-stopping Fernando Alonso in this race. And as it currently stands, it is quite an uphill battle going into the final race for Fernando Alonso. As it currently stands, Schumacher would be on 83, Raikkonen
Correct.
81, and Alonso 75. So he'd have to overturn what would be a 9-point deficit because of the countback rule, so he'd have to require Schumacher to be no higher than 7th in the next race in Brazil to win the championship for Fernando Alonso. Never mind Kimi Raikkonen, who we'd also have to expect to see possibly outside the top 4, I believe it would be.
Keep in mind, Alonso and Michael are yet to stop again in this race. Definitely Michael is on a 2-stop with his 7-second stop. Expect him to be back into the pits pretty soon, as he's right on the back of Jarno Trulli, actually.
Yeah, Michael Schumacher with what clearly is a lighter fuel load compared to Jarno Trulli. He's probably going to be sending a few moves up and down his inside and outside.
And there comes confirmation of Michael debating over his pit strategy.
As we've got another battle brewing on track, it's Villeneuve versus Tyrannosuke Takagi for 5th place in this race. we almost know for certain that Villeneuve is going to the end and Takagi is not. But it will be interesting to see if the Japanese driver can get past the 1997 Formula One world champion.
I want to point out, Ralf Schumacher has opened an 11-second gap between himself and Petsonia after his pit stop. So Ralf, if he's going to the end, has this 1 point definitely in the back.
Especially with Mark Webber just 4 seconds up the road, stuck behind Nick Heidfeld as it currently stands.
Also in the 15-second time penalty, so Webber will drop currently behind Petsonia as well as Takagi out-drags Villeneuve up to 130R and gets the move done. Great move.
And a very brave move there from Teranosuke Takagi. Probably thinks that Villeneuve has got a wife and 2 kids at home, but he's up into 5th position in this race. And would most certainly be on course for what would be his career best result, as Michael Schumacher is prepared to come into the pits at the end of this lap. A little bit of contact actually between him and Jarno Trulli, as into the pits comes Michael Schumacher with 16 to go on the clock.
And we'll see him actually probably drop behind Fernando Alonso as well, with Alonso going longer in the second stint but losing a lot of time. Obviously, in this shorter stint for the McLaren. 9.2 seconds is quite a long stop till the end.
And Raikkonen might jump him here. Going down the main straight. Raikkonen has indeed jumped him. What about Fernando Alonso, though, making his way down the main straight? There's Schumacher in your picture. And Schumacher has rejoined in between his 2 championship rivals.
Yeah, Takagi's safe for the points, 7th at best though.
Unless... we haven't had a mechanical failure in about 15 or so laps, so...
Watch both drivers that we are seeing on stream right now get a mechanical failure.
Alonso brake failure into Schumacher. Raikkonen second. Takes an 8-point lead in the championship. Ruins Fernando Alonso's championship hopes. Schumacher going defensive, though, into the hairpin. He knows that Alonso is a threat to him in the championship.
All over the back of the German.
And Fernando Alonso really gunning to try and get himself into the top 3. I think he's stopped not that long ago, wasn't it? No, it's, never mind, it's 16 laps ago, so...
Yeah, he has to stop again.
Maybe it's to try and throw off Michael Schumacher. Not entirely sure, but the 2 McLarens ahead of Fernando Alonso is not what the front row sitter would have been expecting by the end of this Grand Prix. Held up by Jarno Trulli, most importantly, has screwed his strategy as he goes up the inside. Unable to find his way through, though.
Story of the season, Renault not able to outride a Mercedes engine on the straight and therefore not able to make the move into the heavy braking zones. Therefore, even though the Renault is the more capable chassis, Glock now has gotten past Jensen Button for 12.
That's on the run into 130R, and Glock no longer, is ahead of a non-Opel in this race. We'll put it that way. As
like
Button
Glock
is relegated
to again.
But he might have a run as well here on Antonio Petsonia for 11th. The Opel versus the Mercedes. And Glock gets close. He's nearly spun the car. Oh, that's a collision between Button and him. I don't know how Button's got away with that.
Yeah.
He's very lucky indeed, but Button's back up into 12th position. Glock going for an overzealous move there on on Antonio Petsonia. Paid the price, nearly took out Jensen Button in this race. And now Button's on the move to try and get ahead of Petsonia. This is chaotic between the Jaguar Brabham and Opel.
One does not simply overtake the Lord of the Dark Arts.
There it is. There's the message.
Alonso is 1/10 behind Michael further up the roads. But still unable to make the move. All this is allowing Raikkonen to extend the gap slightly. Would think that Michael, though, if as soon as Alonso pits, will set his sights on his teammate.
Heidfeld has been... sorry to interrupt, but Heidfeld's been holding up Mark Webber, and as such, Ralf Schumacher has actually joined the fray in this battle for the final points position. I know, I'm sorry, Benny. I forgot.
Takagi yet to stop in this race. We are nearly 40 laps in, and the Toyota's still going strong in this one. There we go, there's the confirmation that I needed.
No worries, Leo. Welcome back. Takagi into the box and from 5th position. This has been a monumental race from him.
Will be interesting to see if we got the jump on Jean-Christophe Bouillon, who is expected to pit again pretty soon.
Right, what I'll do, Benny, is for the last race in Brazil, if you're making another one, I will put Sonic Heroes on one side and the other game on the other side. So
here comes the confirmation. Bouillon into the pits at the end of this lap.
So Takagi down to 7th. That's soon to be back up into 6th place in this race for Teranosuke Takagi, who is currently on course for his first points in Formula 1. This is also going to help Toyota massively in just bridging that gap a little bit more to BAR in their battle for 5th in the Constructors. But with this 5th place oncoming for Williams, it's almost certainly going to clinch them 4th place in the Constructors. Meanwhile, the win for Ferrari in this race is going to see them reach 100 points for the season with 1 round remaining, as here's Glock has just made a move on Button and now is gunning for Pitsonia once again. Hopefully he doesn't make a carbon copy as what just happened 2 or 3 laps ago.
Before.
He is most certainly closer, and Pitsonia could be under pressure here for his 11th place on track. Up the inside for Timo Glock in towards the first corner, side by side between the two. And by the time they reach turn 2, it's Glock that's ahead of Antonio Pitsonia. He has indeed, through the Dunlop curb. I actually want to take a look at that, or we'll wait until Bouillon's made it into the pits, but it looked like a fairly audacious move there from Ralf Schumacher, as he's now up into 9th position, holding off Mark Webber in towards the hairpin. So now the Honda driver could potentially fetch a final home Grand Prix point for the team in what is their second to last race.
Renault already in the pits, that's from Alonso as well. I think Webber might have made a mistake behind Heidfeld and invited Ralf up the hill.
Oh, it's loose.
Yeah, drops it nearly.
Yeah, very loose there from Mark Webber and clean round the outside. Switches to the inside for the first Egner, and that's a world champion move right there from the reigning champion. Of course, Ralf Schumacher will obviously not retain his crown for 04. And into the pits then for Fernando Alonso. That leaves the 2 McLarens to jostle it out for 2nd place in this race. Is Raikkonen yet to stop in this race? I am not entirely sure.
No, he has stopped with Trulli.
Yeah, so this is now a battle between the 2 McLarens for 2nd place in this race, and with it comes the championship lead. Alonso into the pits then from 4th, will probably rejoin in the same position as well.
Yeah, and Webber's hanging on for dear life in this car. I would suggest that the Red Bull is actually a death trap just waiting to happen. So we have seen multiple times now that the car struggles heavily through high-speed corners. Michael now down the inside, but not close enough on his teammate. Keep in mind, Michael has a 5-second time penalty. Even if he gets past Raikkonen, he needs to open up that gap.
He does indeed. Remember, Webber 15 seconds, Takagi 10, Pitsonia 5, and Michael Schumacher also with 5. Michael Schumacher unable to find any way through on his teammate. As Jarno Trulli runs off into the sunset, it's looking grey for second position, or rather silver, as one of these guys has surely got to take the silver medal in this race. Not entirely sure which one it's going to be, but Michael Schumacher's got to lunge it up the inside from a long way back. Still not going to be close enough into the final chicane.
Whoever gets the upper hand here sets himself up nicely for the final race of the season in Brazil. As we await, I think it was Opel already in the pits.
Brabham, it was.
Oh, Brabham, and it's
So I think,
Heidfeld.
yeah, it's going to be Heidfeld from the points. And Ralf Schumacher is going to take his place in the final points position. Webber's just behind him.
Opel.
Already in the pit.
There we go, there's the Opel call.
Glock is going to also be into the box, which is probably going to relegate him to 13th position.
Heidfeld rejoins 10th, quite the distance between his teammate and Mark Webber, so Heidfeld currently in no man's land.
To be fair, I
Needs
feel like
to-
overall Alonso has been faster than Pantano. It's just that he kept just... The middle part of the
Crashing.
season was horrible for Alonso. He stalled from second on the grid in Hungary, for example. Like, he had, what, 4 or 5 retirements in a row, Alonso,
Right.
and somehow he's managed to claw his way back into this championship fight, which is honestly commendable, considering the McLarens have almost certainly been perfect, minus their mechanical issues.
Any big crashes, yes, you need to really watch the start of the race, essentially.
Yeah, so the first lap you'll need to watch, as well as let me check.
Lap.
Oh, I can't see, damn it.
No, you can't.
Probably around
I
lap
think-
15 or something like that.
Yeah.
So you want to see the crash between Massa, Minassian and Dixon, as well as the one between Montoya and Sperrifico. Those are the 2 big crashes that we've had. We also had a crash between Sato and D'Amato, as well as Sato had a brake failure, by the looks of it.
The others were all mechanical. As Ralf Schumacher pits from 8th, or will pit from 8th, could see him fetch back out ahead of Nick Heidfeld, but if Webber doesn't pit again, even with his 15-second time penalty, he will get the final points paying position.
Which would be quite the sight to see. Yeah, there's the gap. 22.5 seconds back to Nick Heidfeld. All that Nils is hoping now is that before Ralph pits, Mark Webber tips him round and gets another penalty and a potential race ban. Gets himself disqualified as well.
Or has to pit again because he doesn't have the fuel to last the race distance.
That would be also a sight to see.
But
with-
I'm feeling that Ralph is rejoining ahead of Heidfeld regardless, because the gap is 24.4 seconds.
It's ones that have just gone bowling more than anything.
Yeah.
Already in the pit.
That is for Honda.
Yeah.
Oh,
goes.
Ralf Schumacher's actually just
Oh,
been
Ralf.
overtaken. Actually.
Oh, we
Oh,
have a
contact
battle.
as well.
Karma. Into the pits.
I want to actually get a replay of that, because I feel like more than anybody, Ralf Schumacher has been putting on a show in the midfield. We'll get a
Definitely
look
at
at that then.
Honda's home race. That Webber kept the car on the road is more convincing, actually. Because we have seen what happened to Massa down the inside here. Actually goes for the move before the corner and then...
Loses the rear end.
Oh!
Very close there for Webber. So Webber's going to take 8th position in this race.
And at the front, still Raikkonen ahead of Michael Schumacher. Long stop for Ralph. But should still fetch him out ahead of Nick Heidfeld. I think he's rounding the final corner just now. There he is. That's the Opel of Della Rosa just behind. So Ralph still in 9th.
I'd say a solid 60% Blue Storm.
Yes. We are just one big mechanical failure away from an absolute cinema race.
It would be, wouldn't it? And Raikkonen finally wins until Michael Schumacher overtakes him into the final chicane on the very last lap.
Wouldn't win there because he needs the 5 seconds.
True. And then kills Raikkonen, wins the race, Alonso second, Schumacher disqualified. Raikkonen gets like 4th because he's on the lead lap. Trulli gets 3rd because he's also on the lead lap and is blown up on the run to the line. Schumacher's disqualified. Alonso wins from 2 cars that have both retired from the race. Germany's beating Finland 4-0 in a friendly.
Who
Meanwhile,
scored?
you'd have to ask Benny, because I do not have a clue.
Benny, inform me. Michael not close enough to make a move. Obviously, both cars quite equal.
Who are the goal
scored, Benny?
scorers? Who are the goal scorers, Benny?
Please no.
Dark Lord Bitsonia.
Please no. Please no. I couldn't justify firing this guy then. Under Bird's car. Oh, nice. Was the other not? Oh.
Where does
I
Undav
can
play
do
now?
Stuttgart still.
Wasn't he at Brighton?
He was at Brighton, moved to Stuttgart on loan. Stuttgart then signed him on for full time, and since then he's been one of the best Bundesliga strikers.
Oh, okay.
Had quite a dispute with Nagelsmann.
Schumacher, Heidfeld, and Glock. I love those goal scorers.
that would have been fire. Driver of the day is to be Trulli if nothing happens. No, I wouldn't say Trulli. I would say Takagi actually.
Takagi, yeah. I
yeah.
would say Takagi.
Or even Ralph.
Figuratively and literally demolishing his competition has Takagi been doing.
Like, you know, maybe with the lap traffic of Takagi there could get a move, but Raikkonen gets by easier. Now Michael has to get by the Japanese driver, but is stuck behind. Yeah, Takagi or Ralph is definitely.
Oh, I know who the game is going to give it to though. Heidfeld, because he's gained like 12 places. Heidfeld's driver of the day for mass trolling. I think we should give it to Justin Wilson for stalling on the grid.
Yeah, definitely.
Commendable performance considering that's as little damage as he can do to the car.
Actually, I would give it to Massa for winning it on lap 1.
Dropping it on 130R. Oh dear. There'll be a news report going out on the Discord. There's a link to that in the description of the stream. If you want to join that, you can find out in more detail about news reports.
As Red Bull is ready in the pits. That's for Weber.
And
I was convinced that
I
he was right behind Ralph.
Yeah, I imagine that lap 1 crash potentially cost him any chance here of getting to the end. He's 7 laps from the end, so yeah.
He would have probably gotten that point. Especially, actually, considering he has the pace, he would have maybe challenged Bullion throughout the race. Alonso is out. That's the championship over, essentially.
That is championship over for Fernando Alonso if the 2 McLarens finish. Alonso out with a suspension failure with just 5 laps remaining. I'm not gonna say it, but you know what I'm gonna say. The Fernando Alonso hype train is most certainly going to be dead at the Suzuka Circuit here today, as Alonso, with just 5 laps remaining, is out. Villeneuve will take 4th place as a result, and it would be his best result since returning back to the sport, or equaling it, I think, at least.
up to 5th. As Webber rejoined ahead of Ralf Schumacher 3 attempts, but keep in mind, Webber has a 15-second time penalty and Ralf behind is impatient.
And also, Heidfeld is only 8 seconds behind as well, so Heidfeld could still jump him in the points as well. If Ralf Schumacher can get ahead, that would honestly be perfect for Heidfeld, considering Ralf would probably be able to back Webber up a little bit, down the straights at least.
Not close enough to Lamborghini dragging him along.
Oh, you're doing that on Thursday? Yeah, go. Nice. What time are you planning on doing that?
Oh my god!
2 retirements from 2 championship contenders in as many laps, and Schumacher with a gearbox failure! And any
chance on the podium!
Any chance of Michael Schumacher taking the championship lead has seized up, much like his gearbox, and retires. Again for Michael Schumacher. Oh my word. Oh my days. Michael Schumacher out the race. As it currently stands, Kimi Raikkonen will be leading the championship by 8 points. No race victories, but an 8-point lead going into the final round of the season. Alonso is crossing everything, I'm imagining, as he's walking back to the paddock, that Raikkonen retires from this race. If Raikkonen doesn't retire from this race, Alonso is out, and Michael Schumacher has got more than an uphill battle to climb. He's got an 8-point deficit to make up, as Schumacher called into the pits.
Also, I said earlier that the 2 drivers currently on stream would retire. That were Michael and Alonso. Oh, God.
And into the pits comes Michael Schumacher, stuck in 2nd gear. And I'm imagining that he might be stuck in 2nd position in this championship by the season's end. Schumacher out.
Considering that Raikkonen's car has been rock solid all season long, with his retirements more far than in between, he's definitely set to win the championship now. And Villeneuve getting a podium, as it currently stands.
Takagi's going to be up to 4th place as well.
Takagi podium would heal the world.
Takagi podium would be absolutely insane.
Now, if Raikkonen retires, it's...
If Raikkonen retires, you're going to all say it's scripted, which unfortunately is not.
You can't script this.
You cannot script this. Here's the battle then.
For the potential 6th position.
Yes, it will be 6th position in this race. Webber's made 4 stops in this Grand Prix. This has been a chaotic race for him, but he has weathered the storm and still might be able to score some points. I don't know if the gap is increasing between him and Heidfeld. 8 tenths.
So, yeah.
8 tenths. And the gap currently is 10 seconds.
10 seconds.
With 2.5 laps to go.
He needs to improve by... needs to find 2.5 seconds over 2 laps now.
Oh, there's another problem for Heidfeld. He might get lapped before the end of this race as well. It could potentially... Yeah, and if Schumacher and Webber aren't, then Heidfeld is confined to 8th, isn't he? So...
Where are they in circuit? They're...
Well, Heidfeld is about 2 seconds in front of Trulli.
Yeah.
and those guys are 10 seconds up the road from Heidfeld, so Trulli's probably going to lap Heidfeld, which is going to put him a further lap down, which is probably going to stop him from getting past Mark Webber, even if he is within 15 seconds, as Trulli sets the fastest lap of the race. Oh, I can't have Trulli blow up, because then I've got to have Raikkonen blow up, and then I've got to have a Villeneuve win from Takagi and Bouillon. 3 reserve drivers completing the podium is not on the cards. Surely not.
Trulli now being held up there by Heifel once again as well, and Heifel goes down to 2 laps down. Never mind, is losing a lot of time because of this.
I've never seen the attrition rate work in the GDB in an actual race.
The attrition rate in the GDB does not work.
So, Jacques Villeneuve now on course for his first podium since the 1998 Monaco Grand Prix, I think. I think this is only his second podium in this entire series. I think he only ever got 4th or worse other than the Monaco Grand Prix win that he got in 98. So, this has been a monumental day for Williams. Toyota will be loving life with Takagi up in 4th as a home driver as well. Bouillon in 5th.
Those two are pretty far away. No, never mind. Trulli could catch him.
Nah, he can't.
I don't think so.
It's a final lap now for Jarno Trulli in this race. Jacques Villeneuve has been given driver of the day. Fair enough. He's kind of driven. He's done nothing the whole race and just benefited from retirements. But yeah, fair enough. He's going to get a podium for the Williams team. No, it's not over. Not mathematically, but for Alonso, it's over if Raikkonen keeps his second place.
Raikkonen would lose it.
Yeah, Raikkonen would lose
it.
Yeah, Schumacher would have 8 wins to Raikkonen's 1 in that case, Jeffrey. So, it's been a chaotic race behind Jarno Trulli. Michael Schumacher, Alonso, Barrichello, Coulthard, Montoya, as well as Manassian, have all retired from this race firmly from within the points, but Jarno Trulli has weathered the storm of absolutely everyone. He's led pretty much from start to finish through the red flag, and the red car of the Ferrari of Jarno Trulli is back in the winner's circle. Failed to qualify last race, doesn't matter, he's going to win the next one. Jarno Trulli out the final corner then, and he's going to win the 2004 Japanese Grand Prix in comfortable fashion, and with it the fastest lap on the final lap of the race as well. Kimi Raikkonen has just got 1 sector to go. In fact, even if he does retire now, he would still keep second place, as he's actually a whole lap ahead of third place Jacques Villeneuve. So rounding the final couple of corners into the Casio triangle for Kimi Raikkonen. He has not won a race in any of the 17 Grand Prix this season, but rounding the final corner, it's going to be Raikkonen finishing in second, and with it, into the final race, it's going to be a battle between the 2 McLarens. Raikkonen with an 8-point advantage over Michael Schumacher for the 2004 season finale. Fernando Alonso mathematically out of it, as Villeneuve completes the podium for his first podium in 6 years. Takagi gets his first points of his Formula 1 career as well, as Jean-Christophe Bouillon will not stay within 10 seconds, of course, of Takagi, and as such, he will finish in 5th position. Mark Webber has got a... Yes, so it's going to be Ralf Schumacher up in 6th. It's the... Other than the podium that he got in Belgium, the best result of the season for Ralf Schumacher, as he's going to score 3 points at Honda's final home Grand Prix for the foreseeable future, as he's going to beat Mark Webber with his 15 seconds worth of time penalties. And across the line for Webber Yes, of course, he's not going to beat Ralf Schumacher from here by that much. So Schumacher in 6th, Webber in 7th, and Nick Heidfeld will repeat his last season heroics in scoring yet another 8th place here in Japan. Pitsonia will finish behind Jensen. Pitsonia will finish just behind Jensen Button following his penalty as Timo Glock and Pedro de la Rosa complete the 12 that finished the Grand Prix. Michael Schumacher, 4 laps from the end, gearbox failure. Alonso, suspension failure, 5 laps from the end as Barrichello, Coulthard, Montoya, Sparaffico, all big names that retired from this race. Ralph Furman as well from the top 5 positions. Damata Sato having their crash earlier on in the race as a poor race as well for both of the Rose Toyotas. Of course, we had the red flag following Massa, Manassian and Scott Dixon all crashing, and I've got to say it has probably been a chaotic race, at least in terms of retirements, but very little happening on track action. Nils, what are your thoughts from that Grand Prix?
Definitely a race of the ages, even though nothing really happened in terms of overtakes, but obviously with Michael now out of this race, and if Raikkonen doesn't get a disqualification after scrutineering, Alonso definitely out of the championship fight already, so it's definitely set up properly now for Brazil.
And I've got one more question to give to you. Do you think Schumacher gets his 6th?
No.
No. You think Raikkonen's going to take it from here?
Yes.
Yes. So, join us next week then, same time. I think, actually, let me check. When is the real-life Monaco Grand Prix? Let me just make an absolute certainty of that. It starts at 2 o'clock. Yes, so we'll be here at the same time, same place, 6 p.m. BST on Sunday for next week's Brazilian Grand Prix, the season finale, where Raikkonen will try and hold off Schumacher's 8-point deficit. Join us then, and we'll see you next week for 2004 and the Brazilian Grand Prix. Next stream as well will be on Tuesday for the AMS1 career mode. Until though, no, that's not Tuesday, that's Wednesday. Wednesday will be then. And yeah, we'll see you next week for the season finale. Goodbye.